We are shifting the conversation. We are changing the game. We are finding something beautiful. We are cultivating community in the unlikely of spaces, like in a chair or a campground, outside the small towns and big cities. This is so much more than just about hair. This is about heart. This is about realigning your heart and your hands, putting in the work, stretching your craft. See, this is the place you come for encouragement, your cup overflowing kind of experience, so that when you leave here, you can give and pour all over again. You can allow yourself the space to rest, but only to fuel yourself so that you never give up this work, this fight, this diligence in your craft. You came here to learn, to laugh, to sit and listen, share and exchange, to rest and unwind. This is a place that you have full and complete permission to be yourself. So let your hair down, maybe even literally, and welcome to Hair Camp. Come just as you are. Come undone.
That's right. Welcome to Hair Camp, everyone. I'm your camp director, Sam Hills, and we couldn't be more excited that you're here today with us at our first ever virtual bonfire. That's right. I said virtual bonfire. We hope that you are in the comfort of your home right now, in your comfy pants, you've got your coffee, and you're ready to hang out with us for a little bit, because we are bringing Hair Camp to you. I wish more than anything right now I was on stage, because right now we would be kicking off our morning at Hair Camp in Southwest Ohio. Instead, we are here from Hair Camp HQ, bringing it to you. And so today I am so excited about what we have planned for you. We've got 4 amazing educators that are going to be bringing you guys skills, techniques, inspiration, creativity, and I think most importantly, themselves. And that's what we love about Hair Camp is a community of stylists and educators that sees the best in each other, and we call it out. So that's what we're going to do today. We've brought the best of the best to you so that you can be in the comfort of your own home joining us today live at our virtual bonfire. Here's the deal. This is the first time we've ever done this, okay? And so bear with us, because we're using new technology. We've got our crew that's just kind of behind the scenes working hard to make sure that this is the best experience possible for you guys. And so this is a little bit of an experiment, but we're excited. So let me introduce yourself. My name is Sam Hills. I am the camp director of Hair Camp. And this idea came about a few years ago. And so what we did was last year was our first year ever for Hair Camp. And we had planned Hair Camp for this very weekend, for today, coming out of last year. And I know a lot of you guys had said yes to that. And it is heartbreaking to know that we're not going to be able to see you and to hug you and to shake your hand and to high five you in person. And so we would much rather be doing that, but instead we're here today with you. Listen, today's lineup is stacked. If you are a stylist in need of inspiration, if you're a stylist in need of creativity, we've got it today for you. We've got great friends that are joining us. We've got Mish JOLIE. We've got Brian HICKMAN. We've got Jamie Dana. We've got BRIANA CISNEROS. And we've even got a special guest joining us today. Our personal friends, Johnny Swim. They're coming from California. So they're going to be sending us a message later today, which we're really excited to hear from them. So listen, get comfortable, right? Relax in the comfort of your own home. And really just empty your mind. Get ready to learn from some amazing people that believe in you, and they want you to be your best self. So listen, let's kick things off today with our first guest. I'm really excited about this lady. She became a great friend of ours last year when she joined us in person for Hair Camp. Her name is Mish JOLIE. Mish JOLIE resides up in the Northeast. I'm pretty sure it snowed there like last week. But we're excited about Mish because she is going to be teaching us a low light technique that we can all take back into the salon and use on our clients as soon as it opens up and we're ready to get back into the salon again. And so I'm excited about who Mish is. Mish opened a salon this past year with an amazing friend named Meg. They're doing rad stuff. They're also, I believe, paving the way for hair painting and melting techniques. They're some of the best in the business. And so to have her today is a big deal. And so without further ado, why don't we get Mish on here? Hey, Mish.
Hi.
How are you? Welcome.
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here today.
I am so excited to see you. You look great, by the way.
Thank you.
Loving the bob. It looks so good on you.
Thanks.
So welcome to our virtual bonfire. This is really fun.
Oh my God, this is so cool. I'm so glad. I mean, I was so bummed about, everything that happened. And, I'm a huge hair camp, lover. But this is so awesome that you guys were able to do this for us, for me, for the whole community and all the campers. This is rad.
Listen, our theme this year for Hair Camp 2020 was never give up. And
yes.
We didn't know how applicable or how apropos that statement would be in a time like this, when it just feels like, what are we supposed to do? We just sort of leaned into that statement. We said, hey, we're never giving up. So that's why you're here today, Mish. I know that you believe in that statement as well. So
100%.
I've seen you living that out. I'm really excited because you're going to actually be teaching us a technique today. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So as some people do know who follow me on Instagram, I am a brunette balayage specialist and a melting specialist. So one of the biggest things that I kind of realized as a stylist, kind of going into really honing in on balayage, was a lot of brunettes would come to me, but they were overly blonded. So I had to come up with a solution to pull through their natural color and to really make those low lights stand out. So this is kind of my go-to technique for bringing a brunette kind of back to their roots.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think blonde is something we all do so much. And it's just,
yeah.
I don't know about the stylists that are watching right now. I know me, when I've got to climb the chair, I just think, how many foils or how much blonde can I put in this head? So for you to kind of teach us this art of creating dimension and really even putting darkness back in the hair, I think that's so rad. I'm excited to learn today. Well, hey, I don't want to keep you any longer. I'm ready to learn. You ready to take over?
I'm ready.
All right, Mish. Hey, you're going to do great. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Okay, guys, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much again, Sam, and all the people behind Hair Camp. You have no idea how special this is to me, and I'm sure it's so special to all the campers too, that we kind of get to be together in this hard time. And I know that a lot of people have it rough right now with salons closing and being kind of stuck at home. But I just want you to know we're all in this together. My salon's closed and I'm staying home and I'm trying to stay healthy as possible. But I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in and being here. Hair Camp is such a special place to me. And last year was our first year, and it was so career changing for me. And I will stand behind Hair Camp 100% forever. So I can't wait to see you guys there when we can have it. And I hope you guys are ready for this fun technique that I have planned for you. So let's get started. I got this girl right behind me. Okay, so let me position myself. I want to make sure that you guys can all see. So she's been previously balayaged. She, as in, I think Sam named her Becky. So that's cool. So we're going to go through and we're going to kind of take her natural and pull it through the ends. So this technique is really cool if you have a blonde who wants just a lot of dimension. All of the dimension is going to be kind of throughout and inside of the hair. And we're going to part where our client will naturally part her hair. So a lot of the times, I know my clients like a lot of versatility. So if you have someone who parts on the side, it's kind of cool because you can do a lot of lowlights in a specific other spot on the side, and they can kind of have a darker look, and then they can kind of have a lighter look. So it's very versatile. You can use it on brunettes, you can use it on blondes. Really, it's for everybody. It's just a different way to do lowlights that I found a little bit more effective. One of the biggest things I've seen from being a hairstylist behind the chair for so long is, and I know that you guys have been there as well, is you do all these amazing, beautiful lowlights and you're so stoked. You got the formulation perfect. And all of a sudden you're blowing it out and you're like, where are they, right? So I think that kind of happens because we tend to, you know, think back to hair school, and we tend to think back to like kind of smaller sections. But with low lighting, I don't think that that's necessarily true. So if we go through and we take these, you know, we would say that's not a super fine weave. That's a pretty thick weave. I would say medium. So if we go through and we put low lights in her hair, yes, it looks so amazing up here, right? Super great dimension. And then all of a sudden we get down to the ends and they're gone, right? So we're kind of, especially if we're doing it underneath and we're not doing like stripes on top, we blow it out and the client's kind of like, I don't really see the low lights in there. And you're like, oh yeah, they're there when you curl it, or they're there when you know, there's one right there. But we don't want to have to like show them and pick them out. We want them to be able to see their low lights right away. So I'm going to show you guys kind of how I do it. I'm going to paint a little bit as well, just so I can show you guys dimension as well, or how to weave the low light. So another thing we'll talk about is if she's brunette, wants to stay brunette, but she does want some dimension in there. So we'll talk about leaving the low light as well as putting it back in. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this. All right, so I'm going to start in the front on her. I want to make sure that we can get through that section. And I'm going to do diagonal forward section. All right. So this is a good example because a lot of people have like really nice thickness throughout, you know, the root to mid section, and then it kind of disappears towards the end. So I'm going to make sure that she has enough low light in there so that you can really see it from top all the way to bottom. So you can kind of see my section is diagonal forward. That way, if I am highlighting her and low lighting her at the same time, and I'll show you that, I can get a nice, big, beautiful piece right above that ear. And then I can also have a smaller highlight section. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm using gloss. So my favorite thing to do or use for low lighting is gloss. And I know a lot of people, it's controversial because, you know, why would you use gloss? It's just going to come out. It's just going to fade away. That's what I want to happen. You know, as a balayage artist, I know that when spring comes, when summer comes, when fall comes, when winter comes, my clients are shifting their hair very seasonally, and I want to be able to get through this color if they want to go lighter. I don't want to put ammonia color in their hair because it's going to be harder to get through. Then I'm going to have a whole nother issue to deal with, warmth, copper, whatever. So I like to use a gloss, and my go-to gloss is the Oligo Colora gloss. And I want to show you really quickly. I picked a 5N. I don't know if you guys could see that. It's kind of weird lighting. But the reason I'm doing like a straight N is because it's equal parts blue, yellow, and red. So 33, 33, 33. That's the percentage of the base. I find that it's like the perfect tone when it comes to like creating that natural back into the hair. It's not too ashy. So, you know, we know as stylists, if we do have compromised hair on the ends tend to absorb very ashy, right? We don't tend to pick up a lot of that gold, but since we have a good amount of red in there, we're amazing, right? We don't need to worry about it as much. If you have somebody who's overly blonde, then I would go ahead and maybe add something a little bit warmer into your formula. But my go-to is the natural. So I'm going to be doing that today. And I'm going to be starting, I always have a towel, kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy. I always have a towel because I am like very hands-on and I really like to saturate. If that's not something you're comfortable with, you can totally use a comb to comb it through. But so for now, I'm going to take my section and I'm going to either do a V or a U section. And the reason I want to do that is because if I take a straight section, that's great. But when we get to the end, it's going to fade away. Look how much stronger it is if I take this whole piece and it continues all the way through. So it's giving us a lot of depth throughout here. So first section, I'm going to take a normal application brush and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start painting my low light on the surface. The reason I like to do that is because I don't want to create a line at the root. I want it to be very feathery at the root. I don't want to create any harsh lines. As long as I have that, then I'm going to put my hand underneath and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to saturate through. And that's when it comes into needing the towel, because I like to use my hands to saturate. Not that I'm a perfectionist or anything, but good saturation is key, because we want to see that color all the way through the ends and we don't want any splotchiness in there. And then I'll go ahead and wipe my hands off. And then I'm going to grab some balayage film, which is my go-to. And this is from Product Club. I like it because it's perforated, so I don't have to worry about ripping it really. Wrap it around, and then that's my low light. You could totally use a piece of mesh. You can totally use a foil. It's whatever you're comfortable with. I'm super comfortable with film because I use it all the time. And I can see through it. So I can see kind of what it's looking like as it starts to process. I just want to go over a few client complaints, because we've all been there and we've all done low lights and had that situation where, especially on a blonde, they come back and they say, my hair's darker. And you're like, Helen, there's no possible way my hair is darker, right? Or your hair is darker right now. I did not touch your blonde. All I did was do low lights, but to them, it appears darker. And I think the reason behind that is when we don't do these big block sections and we do these smaller weave sections, I think what happens is it spreads out and it tends to make the whole head of hair look a little bit more muddy and darker. So super important, even on a blonde, to do these nice big kind of chunk sections so that that doesn't happen. So when they brush through their hair and when they see their hair, they see a nice, beautiful ribbon of depth, and it's not like spread out all over and makes the whole thing look dark, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to paint a piece. And this is like my favorite piece here to kind of keep dark. I love that right underneath, because it's going to, if you have paint right around the hairline, it's just a beautiful contrast piece. So I'm going to go ahead and I just want to show you guys a quick piece of balayage. And I'm using the Olga Blacklight Clay Lightener with 30 volume. And I'm just going to go ahead and just softly paint around her hairline. Because yes, I want to show you guys some beautiful low lighting, but what's a low light when you don't have dimension, right? So nice and soft around the face and then bringing it all the way down. So that way you can see the contrast. And I like to, on a brunette, I like to keep it a little bit more away from the top and make it super melty. I would never connect it all the way up to the top unless they wanted to be more of a blonde look. I know personally for me as a brunette, I don't want any lightness around my face. If somebody put a highlight in my bang, I would freak out. I would not feel like myself anymore. Okay, cool. So the cool thing about this is we're gonna do this in a few sections, which is nice. So that's our first, split in two. Our second piece, we're gonna mimic that section again. So diagonal forward. Move her a little bit here so you guys can see. And then I like to talk a lot about custom color when I'm doing classes. So bear with me. But when I go through, I'm never going to give you 100% placement that you have to follow or that you should follow, because every client's hair is completely different, right? And every time you see them, it's going to be a completely different application. So I really want to kind of drill in that custom color is a big deal, a huge deal. So every time your client comes in, they might get something a little bit different. They might not get balayage that time. They might just get a gloss. They might get a melt. It just depends on what their hair is looking like. So really, I like to push that, because, you know, custom color is just, it's just such a good way to kind of market yourself as like a unique, you know, custom color stylist, which is nice. So for her, every piece is going to be different. So for her, I do see a nice low light here and then some lightness around it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to break up a little bit of this here by doing, I'm going to do a double weave for a highlight, and I'm going to push that out of the way. And then I'm going to take this whole section underneath here, and I'm going to do a low light. So that way, these two highlights will lay down right on top of this beautiful low light. And this whole section will go all the way down to here. Going back in with my gloss, painting it softly at the root, and then saturating from there down. It's nice to use film as well because I have something now to lay my, I'm working on down, and I don't have to worry about it bleeding onto any of the other hair. So making sure it's saturated all the way through. And then it's easier, you don't have to wrap it as much when you get back down to that piece. Because you can just place that piece right on top and it'll stick to the film that's right underneath. And then you're gonna go ahead, let those two pieces drop. And then we're just gonna pop in two smaller highlights here. So that way you guys can kind of see, you know, putting in lowlights is great, but what if they also want highlights, or what if they just want highlights? So you have to visualize the lowlights, you leaving that hair alone, kind of. So the one in the back here, I'm gonna drop a little bit lower. Can you guys see this? I know I saw that there was a few questions, but I think we're gonna do some Q&A afterwards as well. So when I'm painting, I'm making sure that my piece is completely saturated on top. So when I say saturated on top, I mean the back is completely naked, but I can't see through that paint onto the top of the hair. Because if we can see through it, then we're not going to get enough lift from it. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab the front piece, pull it back slightly, and then add some dimension there as well. I'm always making sure not to dip my brush in there, because if my brush gets crazy, sloppy, messy, then I'm in trouble. I want to make sure I have nice clean sections and a nice clean brush. And there you go. So we have our beautiful low light that you can see right in between, two highlights on top. And we'll go ahead and place film right on top of that. You can definitely see, instead of kind of bringing up the highlight all the way up to the scalp, we are kind of keeping it down a little bit. I like to say melty. All right. Next piece, same thing. So my next piece is going to be my second to last piece from the money piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a triangle out, and you can do it as big or as small as you want. So taking the money piece out, clip it to the side, and this is going to be my last piece before that piece. So this piece is going to sit on top, so we can kind of see that we don't want to do like a big stripy piece there, because we don't want Kelly Clarkson. I mean, maybe we do, because that's kind of cool right now. So I'm going to go in, and instead of doing a low light right on top, I'm going to do like a reverse scoop. So I'm going to scoop super close so that this is kind of like a veil. See how thin that is? That you can kind of see through a little bit. And then this whole big piece here is going to be our low light section. So same thing, we're just going to paint our low light up to the root. Being careful not to make a line. Don't want her to get a retouch situation going on, because balayage is supposed to be super low maintenance. That's why people love it so much. So you don't want to go in with your low light and kind of mess that up. I don't know about you guys, but my balayage clients tend to come in every 3 to 4 months. So if I'm going to create a line at the root, they're not going to be too happy about that. pulling my low light all the way through and just making that bottom as nice and saturated so we can see it later on. All right. And then grabbing a piece of film. Okay, so we're left with our last piece right before the money piece. So what I'm gonna do with this piece is I'm gonna create a little bit more of a highlight. And like I said, custom color. So we can kind of see she already has that nice highlight right here. So I'm gonna just leave that alone and let it be. And I'm gonna do, instead of going, I want you guys to be able to see this. So instead of going right behind the money piece, I wanna leave that darker so that the money piece really pops. So I'll go underneath the money piece and I'll create a highlight right there. That way it doesn't take any attention away from the money piece. So I'm gonna kind of pull this back a little bit so I can get my nice tension going on. I'm still gonna keep that shadow right behind, closer here, and then further away because I want my money piece to pop. So I want it to be right next to a shadow. And then painting it all the way through. Popping a film over. So now we have her nice natural low light that's left over with that little bit of a highlight at the back there. And then this is gonna be our money piece. So we're gonna paint this at an angle again so that we can leave this alone. And if you have this situation where they're already light there, or maybe they want a little bit more contrast, you can always go in and do a little bit of a shadow root, which is super fun. And I'll kind of show you how I would do that. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to over direct it back. Nice and soft around the hairline. So when they pull their hair back, there's no harsh lines. And I'm going to bring that all the way through, unless I'm doing a touch-up. And then at that point, if you do want a little bit more contrast on that money piece, you can go in and you can hit the root a little bit. So it's a little bit of like a melt. And you're just going to kind of like just hit it a little bit. So we're not trying to create like a monster here. We're just trying to create a little bit of that shadow. How do you guys feel about that? And we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. But I'm gonna save that for last because I don't have a lot of time and I wanna make sure that we get through the back really quickly. And then literally same thing on the other side. So let's turn her around here. Okay. All right, I'm trying to watch my time too, so I don't run over, but I definitely want you guys to see the back. So I'm just parting her right at the ear, right behind the ear. And the back is gonna be so quick and easy because we're gonna do all underneath. Because we wanna give her back her brunette. So we can take super huge sections in the back, which I always get super excited about. Okay, so I'm gonna take a V section, a deep V section. I don't know if you can see that. Let's turn her. Nice deep V section there. And I'll pin the rest of this hair up. Naturally, if we were looking at a natural balayage, not a natural balayage, natural placement like from the sun, wouldn't really see much lightness back here. So I like to go ahead and really take a nice huge section. And if you have someone who does put their hair up in a pony, you don't have to worry about that section being too dark if they want it light. So let me show you a technique really quickly, just for if you do want a little bit of lightness in the back there. I'm just going to take a little bit of a thinner section. And all I'm going to do is reverse how I would paint on top of the surface. I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of a lunge here, and I'm going to flip up and paint underneath. And I'm not going to go crazy with the saturation because I do want it to be really soft back here, especially if she is a brunette. She's just looking for just a little bit of dimension. So I kind of want you guys to see how that looks. Super soft, right? That way she puts her hair up. It lasts her a long time. She doesn't have any lines. And you can still do some awesome low lights on top of that. Then we're going to drop down that center of the V that we kind of did, not the center here, but what we did right on top of that. So this whole thing is going to be your low light section. It's a super easy technique. You just got to get your head around it. I know sometimes when I teach classes, people are like, that big of low light. I'm like, yes, that big of low light. It really comes out beautiful. As long as it's nice and soft up here, and then we put our hand behind and we saturate it through the back, and then all the way through. And you can do that on both sides as well. All right. Okay, so same thing on this side here. We can scoop and do a nice big low light section. I'm not going to do another paint because I want to get through this whole piece for you guys. Paint it on. And then saturate. And again, I'm using a 5N. I usually, when it comes to low lighting, I just try to match their root color. And a lot of the times with a lot of brands, sometimes you have to adjust and you have to maybe drop a few levels. With Ologo, it's pretty on target. So a little bit better coverage, which is nice. While still being a gloss, of course. Just kind of do a little pinch in there and then just wrap. Next section. Nice and big. This way. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in and grab a really big U section there. That way this can kind of stay a little bit lighter if she already has highlights. And then I can actually do a nice veil of a low light in there and then down through the middle. It'll be really significant. I'll do a little bit more color and then saturate all the way through. This is really fun to do also like with vivid colors on somebody who's pre-lightened. If they don't want to be like completely all that color, but they do want like a good amount in there. It's always fun to do some like nice dark pink low lights. And then we'll go ahead and cover that one up. I don't know how you guys feel about low lighting and using film, but it's not bad at all. I love it. I love being able to see my placement as I go, and I can kind of see, okay, there's a low light, there's a low light, there's one in the middle. These will be either my highlights or the previously lightened hair. And then I can just kind of see where I'm a very visual person. I can see what I'm doing way better. With foils, I have a little bit of a harder time imagining the layout. So like, I'm definitely like a hardcore painter because I like to see what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So same thing, I'm just gonna stagger. I'm gonna go in, and at this point, what you could do is you can do 3, you can do 2. It just depends on kind of like the size of the head we got going on up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do 3. So you can do scoop, scoop. And if you do multiples like this, you do get more dimension at the root as well, which is kind of nice. And then I'll do another scoop here. So that way it's kind of like a big old weave, but we're going pretty far down. So you can kind of see here, those are pretty significant low lights. And if you have thicker hair, you go thicker. Finer hair, you don't have to go as crazy. But we also want to remember that we don't want those low lights to get lost in that fine hair. So keeping it soft on top. Sorry if it sounds like I'm working out in the gym right now, but ever since I got pregnant, I have like breathing thing where I'm just like all the time. Put your hand underneath and we're gonna saturate the rest. And I really like to kind of use my hands. And the reason for that is I like to go underneath and make sure it's a nice seamless blend. Go on top and do the same thing. And then here I'll kind of twist together because I want to make sure I'm not going to put it right on top of lightened hair. That's always not a good thing. And then we'll put a film right on top. Do a little pinch, bring it up, and then wrap it a little bit so that we're left with that last piece that hangs over. So the last piece that hangs over, it's kind of up to what we want it to look like, right? If we're going hardcore on creating more of a brunette, we could do a huge piece underneath. If we're not, then we can kind of give it a little bit more of like a relaxed look. So what I'm going to do with her is I'm just going to kind of skim that top just so we don't have like any chunkiness. I don't know if you guys can hear my cat. He's like crying to come in right now. So I'm going to do I'm going to do 2 sections because we have like our sections that we've done in the front. So I'm just going to kind of do 2 sections and leave a tiny strand in the middle. I think that'll look really pretty. And it'll be a nice transition since my pieces are 1, 2, 3 here. We have that low light right underneath. So I don't want to have to put one right on top of that. So I'm going to do 2 bigger ones on the side. And you can kind of see these are kind of going right into the middle, and that'll be our last piece. Hey, Sam.
Hey, Mish.
Hey.
It's looking amazing.
Thank you.
Hey, while you're working on this last section, we've got some questions that have come in. Can I ask them to you?
Of course.
Okay. So our first question here, let me just pull it up. It is a pretty simple one. What lightener are you using right now?
I'm using the Oligo Black Light. Let me grab it so I can show you. The Black Light Clay.
Okay.
And I'm using that with 30.
Tell me why you prefer that lightener specifically.
So the consistency is obviously really great. I know like balayage artists are like kind of all about the consistency, but it's true. You have to have something that's thick enough that it's not going to bleed through the hair, but something that's thin enough that it glides really nicely and doesn't clump together. Yeah. So I just think it's the perfect mix of the 2 different things. I also do find that I get a little bit more lift with it because it does lift. I want to say it lifts to 6 levels. So yeah, I don't feel like I need to rely on like a heater or something like that or a heat lamp as much with this.
Okay, so a couple of people have asked what brush you're using currently.
This is just honestly a normal application brush. Famara makes them. This one is called Pro Posh.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of brands make them. It's just a regular old application brush that has a little bit of a feathered tip to it.
Now, do you use a different brush when applying a low light as opposed to the lightener?
Yes. So when I'm doing the low light, I'm not trying to do a surface paint. I'm trying to saturate it all the way through. So I need something that has a little bit more stiffness to it. Where when I'm using a lightener, I want something super, I'm just going to take these gloves off really quickly. I want something super fluffy and more natural bristle so that I can kind of very lightly paint on the surface.
Awesome. So the brush makes a massive difference.
It makes a huge, huge difference. And it's honestly, it makes your job a lot easier because yes, we can kind of paint with anything, right? We're all artists and we can get that beautiful blend with a lot of different things. However, I like to work smarter, not harder. And I don't like to spend 2 hours painting. I like to get it done quick, do a beautiful job, and move on with my life.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, so here's a more specific question here. It says, would you recommend this to a natural level blonde with a natural level 8 and platinum blonde with a shadow root?
Yeah, that would be awesome. If you did like a level 8 low light, that would be really pretty. Yes, that would be perfect.
Just get that.
That's why this is, what was that?
Just for more of a subtle dimension in there.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why this is so cool and like versatile. Like, yes, I did create this technique for brunettes, but I use it on blondes all the time because like I was saying before, blondes are very particular, which I respect about them. But if you make them look darker all over, they are not going to like you anymore. And they're going to be like, bye. Because, they want to stay blonde, but they just want to see some nice dimension. So a really cool way that you can do a really subtle low light is if they just want a low light kind of in this area and they want all their ends to stay light, you can kind of do a melted low light. And how I would do that is start the same way I did. Instead of pulling it all the way through, spray it with water and just comb it through with something like a wow brush or a wow comb, a wet brush, and then this is a tangle teaser, and just kind of glide it down.
I love that. That's a great way to take your clients who've gotten a little too blonde, but still want those poppy ends.
Yeah,
to be able to
sure.
that. That's really cool. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Hey, one more question. If the
Sure.
guest has natural hair, would you balayage or use their natural hair color for depth?
Use their natural hair color for depth because you don't really need it at that point. The thing about brunette balayage that I always like to reiterate 5,000 times is less is more. Yeah. And you have to talk to your client. You have to do a really thorough consultation because, if you sit down and they show you a picture and it's blonde and they say, you don't ask enough questions and they might just like the tone of that blonde, but they just want smaller sections around their head. And a lot of brunettes that I talk to and that I encounter want really natural hair. And that means staying, between, maybe 3 to 4 levels in smaller sections. So a good consultation, is really key. And, less is more. Like I said, keeping it away from the root. If they have fringe, I would just not even paint it. I would leave it dark. But that's just me.
Awesome. Mish, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your technique with us.
Of course, anytime. I had so much fun.
Hey, so these are crazy times, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How did it feel to be working on a mannequin today?
It felt awesome. I just like getting my hands in some hair.
I can tell you're totally buzzing right now. You're fired up.
Yeah, I know. I'm like all like heavy breathing.
So whenever we get you off screen, you're gonna finish that head, aren't you?
Oh yeah. I can't leave her like this.
No, that'd be terrible. Yeah. So how do you feel like you're holding up right now? I know you guys opened the salon earlier this year. Yeah, how's everybody up in the Northeast doing? And what's sort of the I would say the emotional climate right now with stylists up near you?
I think it's kind of split in two. Unfortunately, some people are really embracing this time, and I'm one of those people. I always say to myself, like, okay, if I have this time, and we always, like, as stylists, we're like, we have no time. I want a day off. I want to like lighten up my schedule. So now it's almost like I look at it as a gift instead of something really bad, even though hair camp But I don't know. I just really, I'm taking it one day at a time, and I'm trying to get, a little something done every single day. I'm doing meditation. I'm just doing a lot of self-care, and getting ready for this little babe. So, because I'm going to be going hard in the salon when I get back in there.
Yeah. So when's your baby coming?
September.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Mish, as always, man, it's so good to see your face. It's so good to have your support. And honestly, it's so good to learn from you. You're a master at your craft. I know you've logged
Thank you.
time becoming this proficient and this amazing at what you do. So thank you for sharing it with our crew today.
That means so much to me. Thank you so much. And thanks for having me.
Of course, guys, Mish is super active on Instagram. If you want to continue to follow along with her and stay inspired. And she also does a lot of education outside of hair camp. So continue to follow her, become a fan. I know I use a lot of her techniques in the salon on clients, and people do not leave my chair without loving their hair because of the things I've learned from Mish. So Mish, thank you for joining us on Bonfire today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We'll see ya. Guys, Mish is just one of many educators we have planned for you today. And we're really excited to share that with you and to continue to move forward. So thanks for hanging out. We've got a ton of people on right now asking great questions, engaging. Listen, the comments is a great section to send questions to. I'm getting to those, and then we'll ask them at the end of the segment. So if you've got a more of an in real time specific question, we may not answer that. But if you've got more of a broad sweeping question like the ones we just asked Mish, go ahead and ask that in the comments, and we'll get to those. Also, if you see a friend on the comment or somebody you want to connect with them, exchange information, follow them on Instagram. Hair Camp is way more than an education event. We are a community. And so that's what we are excited to do, is build community, and even virtually. So that's what today is about. It's about continuing to sort of build community with you guys and be a support to you guys. A lot of you have also asked if I can rewatch this live. And yes, you will be able to. We will be putting this on different platforms so you guys can rewatch if you want to rewatch one of the sections with the educators. Also, you can share it with a friend later, or you can invite them now. So we'll have this content available for you guys to rewatch at a later date. Thanks for hanging in there, guys. Up next, I want to introduce a friend to you. This guy has been a good friend for a long time. He's very near and dear to my heart. His name is Brian HICKMAN. Brian HICKMAN is in Nashville, Tennessee. He is the creative director of a salon there called Local Honey, who's doing progressive and really cool work. I know a lot of you follow Brian and are fans of his. Brian is a pioneer. He continues to sort of push forward what we define as creative, what we define as what's next and what's to come. And I know, seeing a lot of your work, you're inspired by guys like Brian. And so I'm excited he's joining us today. He's going to be teaching us a textured bob technique with V-bangs, kind of a Brian HICKMAN staple, and something that he's going to do really well. So let's get Brian on here right now to say hey and take over. Hey, buddy.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Dude, we got you loud and clear.
Okay. I have these headphone things on. Sorry, I look like a Star Trek or something like.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Dude, it is the future, man. We're doing hair camp online, so I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's a pleasure, man. I was just telling these guys that you are such an inspiration to me, to a lot of stylists. I have been so encouraged, and I would even say use the word challenged by your work and the things that you're doing. So I'm excited today to learn from you, because every time I walk away from you, I have these small things that I start to implement in my cuts. And man, they make such a huge difference. So today you're going to be teaching us a technique that is a texture bob with V-bangs. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I rarely in the past have cut on mannequin head. So when you have, like, you could fully do anything, it's actually it was a hard decision for me to be like, what do I teach just as a technique? And so there'll be some structural things in it, but it's just shifting around the texture. And also I was thinking about how we're all, cutting a lot of bangs like this right now.
Yeah.
And just thinking through, because I've gotten to talk to a lot of people through this, which has been really cool. but just thinking about stuff from the past where I'm actually going to switch the technique and cut it the bang more like this. So we're probably going to have a lot of people coming in with grown out bangs. And if they want something different, I was thinking, well, how do we shift that into something different? So it's just kind of switching that stuff up and thinking about little pockets, in the corner here and in the corner where it connects into a bob without taking this corner away. Like, how can we put in little areas that are going to open up different things? So if someone pushes it back and forth, it just gives them some more versatility. So they'll part it down the center. It'll be real airy and kind of more swoopy. And then we'll probably set it in slightly asymmetric, which you won't see it if they part it in the center. But if they push it one side, it'll feel really different than if they push it to the other. So just working on these little pockets where we can change the shape without affecting the line too much, so the bob still feels like a bob.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm excited to learn from you. I know a lot of people are excited to learn from you today. So why don't you take us there, man? Guys, this is Brian Hickman with a textured bob with V-bangs.
All right. Thank you guys, for hosting me. Thank you for doing this. I love everything that you're doing, and I'm proud to be a part of it. I appreciate everyone that's tuning in, and hope everyone's doing well through this. I really do think this is going to be a time, if we're using it in a positive way, to become stronger and focus on the things that we want and focus on our futures. And like I said, hopefully we come out of this stronger, but we'll get started. So I did do a little pre-cutting just because of timeline. And with bobs, I really am always considering visual balance. So just if someone has a lot of hair, it's just thinking about how do we create that density balance between the front and the back. And so there's different ways. We could keep a low graduation. We could do some more layering. And what I did was really simple. Is I undercut like maybe about a 2-inch section, just super quick, trimmed it off. And this is something I think, with clients, it could be, we could be intimidated by doing stuff like this, but this is more out of function, and no one's ever going to see it even as it grows than it is out of a feature, instead of, thinking back to maybe 5 years ago when people were shaving it and putting it up. So I took that out and just took a few kind of classic sections. And typically I would start in the front with the bangs, but because of our approach to how we're going to feed those in, we're really, the length is the actual feature that I want to stand out before we cut into those bangs. So let's see, I'll get this set up so we can. So yeah, so I left those front sections. So just kind of showing you how I cut the back. I'm gonna take fairly bigger sections just to move through what we're doing, and I will be cutting just using the no tension. So I've done that through the back. I'm going to set this up. Of course, the ears are not going to get in the way, but if you're doing this on a client, just keeping this, I'm just going to comb a few times, make sure that pressure is off the ear and be really loose, and then just bring this up. And I'm not pressing that to the skin. I'm just leaving that loose and airy, leaving us about 1 inch from the jawline. And that's my visual reference, is like where that rests off the jawline. So we'll kind of quickly pop through those sections. And what's nice is this was pre-cut from the salon, and so there are pre-existing things just like your clients will have too. So I'm not trying to cut the perfect bob. I know we'll probably mess a little bit with the layers in the crown, but again, we're just looking to air it up a little bit and create a little bit of structure then before we start airing it out with the texture. It's hard to get those little pieces on the mannequin head. It's much easier on a human head. So we'll flip over here. Same thing. I would be taking smaller sections. I'm not a stickler for super small sections. It's just so I can see what I'm doing. And usually on a human, I would want to be taking just a bit smaller sections. But say we'll pop that in here. A little tension. Check my balance before I move on. See. Might be just a pinch longer. So I'll adjust that before we go forward. So again, finding my, see, let me adjust that so you can see better. Just right there. All right. And as long as I can see that next, if I can see through what I'm doing, I'm fine with that. Like I said, some of this is going to be cut and there's going to be little adjustments, but pop through, see my guide there. Cool. Again, I'll just check balance really quick. Good. And then what I'm going to do is just like a really simple layer, just a little bit more, because I'm looking, and this is for me what makes it our haircut, what makes it the client's haircut. I'm looking at, there is a pre-existing subtle square layer in there, and I'm still, when I look at the balance of that, I would rather see this just set up a little bit. I'm not looking like full graduation or anything like that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a point off this background of the head. I'll show you too. I'll show you where the line is. And this really could be, this could be based on what you see. You could create this little guide all the way back here. You could push that forward too. Let's see. But what I'm doing is just a simple, this is just giving me a simple baseline of where I want to see this stuff resting. And so this guide, let me see, I could take the head off. It's kind of going through the top there. Make sure, and I'm just going to pick this, like a sliver of this up. And the two things, so the things I'm going to be looking at are how much, where do I want that to set up? Like how much do I want that to set up off the bottom? And so I'm thinking I want to take about an inch, inch and a half. So it's not a lot. It's not a lot of hair. I'm not looking to totally change the shape of this. So what I'll do is I'll pick this up and through that center, I'll just square that off. And this is just like, it quickly gives me a way to see, again, where is that, and am I getting enough lift off? And I feel like it is. It's just, again, it's just real subtle. And so, but you can see what that did already. It's just giving a little bit more bevel at the bottom. And then what I'll do is take a mohawk section, because that previous square was really strong, and you'll see when I comb this up, it's really strong. And to me, I want a little bit more softness. So I'm going to look at, well, where do I want to maintain that fringe? And so, and then I'll let that drop out, and then I'll just connect the dots. So we just created that little square guide back here. Mannequin hair. Okay. And then we're going to use what we did right there, and we're just nibbling. So we're angling this stuff a little bit forward, and we're eliminating that you know, some of that strength of that squareness. So it just bevels forward, so we keep the weight in the fringe. We lift a little bit off the back. And then this will just be a few sections. So I did my central guide, and then I'll do a pivoting guide. As the head starts to round down, I'll over direct up. So everything kind of works, will be beveled up in this area. Whatever doesn't reach from up here, just we let drop out. We'll do 1 at center guide, 2, and then honestly, there shouldn't be much hair that reaches beyond that. All right, and then we'll do the same thing on this side. Quickly. Ooh. Sorry, my mannequin skills are rusty. But I'm using the previous guide, but in theory that we have this guide right here, and there's these bits that are up here, you can see everything. So I'll just do a quick cross check. I maybe put too much product in the mannequin head, on the mannequin head. A quick cross check. That's it. So just subtle again, but those are the things that make the haircut interesting. At least for me, that's what's interesting. It's those subtle things. All right. So now we'll kind of get into the fun part. So we have that fringe that is pre-existing, and we have our corner. And so, meaning like our corner down here. Let's see. All right. And so I'm just gonna section out, you know, enough so I can see what I'm doing and kind of see where it drops from the fringe to the length. Just gonna get that out of the way. Let's see. Try to get myself out of the way. And we're looking at where does this corner rest right here and where this is here. And so the main part of this fringe is we want to make sure we maintain all the length in the center. And then, but we're just going to draw to that. And again, we're conscious of where this corner is and then where this piece is, because we want to leave a little room for us to carve out a little bit right here too, so that corner stays strong, but we can kind of have these little pockets opening up in the sides here. So we'll make this side a little bit more dramatic, and then we'll make this side a little bit less. But like I said, what it's going to do is give versatility to push this way and open this up. And same thing, we'll do a kind of subtle asymmetric, so you won't notice it if it's parted center or parted from side to side. But what it'll do is just, again, give maximum versatility. And then if it is parted in the center, what it'll do is we'll remove weight from here, so it can kind of air out a little bit more. So we'll get that started. But again, I'm leaving enough out that I can take a little spot here without feeling bad about taking that stuff. So I'll go just above the recession, then I'll part at the center here. And then on this side, what I'll do is I'll use the pupil as my reference and connect the dots. So I'm going to pull that straight out and then elevate up just a little bit off the face, and then gently kind of carve my way all the way down to center. So gently opening and closing, back and forth till what's important to me is like that you're always going to your reference point. So see how that, you can see how that flattens out a little bit. I want to make sure I'm coming all the way to the center of the nose. So, but when I cut this side, there's no squareness there. Everything is soft and blending through. And then just as on a client, I'm seeing what it's doing and I'm making changes. So I'm going to go a little bit more so that that stuff will sweep up a little bit more. So I'm going to take a little bit shorter here, but again, I'm keeping this point right here, right where we want it. So we'll go elevate up. Because it's good. It's good to have that plan, like where am I going to shoot, like where am I aiming to hit. But then once you get there, if it's not working, we gotta pivot and kind of make changes. So I like what that's doing. And then, like I said, I want to be conscious of how much of this do I want to keep, but then look at how can I blend that through. So same thing here. I'm going to try to keep out of the way of the camera in a much steeper angle. But again, I'm trying to go all the way to that length piece, so it gets a full blend all the way through. So I'm going to help that a little bit this way. So elevate, and I can see where my corner is and see where my corner here is, and I'm just going to connect those dots. And then I'll come from the back side, just softening that up a little bit. So again, it's how much can you take away without taking away from the length of the bob. So I feel good about that. And so again, I'm going to come from the other side. Same thing, but we're going to keep it lower. We're going to keep it, maybe we'll start out aiming for cheekbone, like high cheekbone. Let's see. Because this is so steep, I'm just gonna hold my hand stationary and connect the dots. So I'll elevate just a little bit more, knowing where I'm going to. So this side will definitely need more texture, but it'll definitely give us a different look. So I'm going to come back through. Everyone see that okay, I hope. And then same thing, I'm gonna pick up this little section over here. You see, yeah. But always conscious of this, like you don't want to take, or I don't want to take away from that, I guess I should say. Let's see as we push that from side to side. And again, it's looking at little bits that want to do different things, like just the way the mannequin is sewn together. I'm seeing that weight building up, so I'm going to come back in and soften this up. Just little pockets. Basically, these are just little triangles in different ways. So if I see something doesn't want to, there's just one little bit, because I actually like what this is doing, but I don't like what that wants to do. So I'm going to just bring this up a little bit more. And again, you can see I'm being a lot more aggressive because it's a doll head. I wouldn't do that in someone's face. I'd be lifting up like this more. Cool. Let's see what it's doing this way. So a lot of this is just about moving the hair around, looking at what the hair is doing, seeing, definitely having an opinion on what you want to see it doing. Cool. And then I'm not going to go classic bang section. I'm just going to pick a point more square over the head and let kind of what naturally wants to go in. And we'll repeat that and see what it's doing and see what wants to stay. So we'll just elevate up. Kind of let that stuff. Again, being conscious of what we want to drop through this corner. I think that to me is kind of, the most important part, how the fringe is reacting, but letting enough drop that wants to, or that you want it to. So we can be pretty aggressive with this. We're mirroring what we have already done, but we can be, like I said, we can be a little bit more aggressive. So I've cut that, just the strength of it that way, and then I'm going to come back on it this way and cut out pockets. Cool. All right. So I feel good about that. And so pretty much with almost every shape I do, I walk back through and check for density and everything. A lot of the texturizing I do is kind of angling back to front, because what that does to me is then it maintains the corner. So I'm just going to walk through kind of diagonal forward sections, not super tight sectioning, but I'm just walking through and looking to collapse weight, but then also looking where my eye is drawn. So I don't know if you could see that in the camera, but you could see it's more airy where it drops from there, but from there to there and around the face, it's a little bit more airy. But then right here, I'm seeing bulk. So I'm just picking up what my eye is drawn to, combing that up, and you can see it right away. And we created some of that. I mean, by the way we cut it, we created strength. But to me, I like looking at how strong the hair can be before I start taking stuff away, especially on a first haircut with someone. You could see that balance evened out. I think hopefully you could see that on the camera. And then same thing, we're conscious around the edge a little bit more than what we would be because of the undercut, but we're just picking up and nibbling. And like I said, to me, just my preference is at the back of the head somewhere. I start angling from back to front, so it has that flow and just the consistency from side to side also. So I'm being like still, even though it's texturizing, I'm being systematic about it. Feels nice to have shears in my hand. I've only cut 2 times. I cut my daughter's bangs, and I think I trimmed some layers on her, and this is only the 2nd time. Feels really nice. I don't know if y'all find it this way, but yeah, to me, this is when the haircut becomes theirs and becomes our haircut, the details of this. Because parts of that stuff, maybe not the fringe so much, but parts of that stuff really feels, at times, I mean, there's an art to that too, but it can feel a little like that's the more generic part that I'm just putting the structure in. And then these things are what I enjoy the most. And that a lot of this is I'm looking for it as I blow it out, because typically I'd be cutting wet and then to dry and all that. But let's see. Overall, I feel good about that. I think. Let me see what's popping up from. So I'm just gonna brush everything forward now. and then just look for inconsistencies or stragglers. And then I guess like a little last kind of tip I could say is, if you get to the end, which I like the shape, but there's times, you know, especially if it's not everyone, but if I'm working on something and I really can see if it's for a shoot or something and I really not getting the lift that I want, what I'll do is basically kind of where that baseline section was here. I'll look and make a little diamond, like a little diamond shape. So I'll get this little square section here, and just so it's this little bump right on the surface that can give us a little bit more lift off. Let's see. So here's the back side of it. Let's see. So just kind of diamond, like I'll do that shape here, because again, like I know my surface is safe, and with this middle of this, so I'll do it. I'll mirror that section up into the front too, and what I'll do is, knowing that this piece is not going to get touched, I'll come in underneath. Let me change this side to side. And like knowing that for the most part will be the surface, you can be fairly aggressive with some texture too. So I'll over direct that all to the center, go close to the scalp, and just pick a point of reference where I'm going to be cutting to. And just do 2 or 3 of those. So again, it's just going to give you some of that cushion there and some of that push, which you can see. And then same thing, just quick section here in the front. And you want to be conscious of how someone's styling this. Like if you know they're parting a certain way, or they're not going to be pushing it so far forward, you have to be a little bit more conscious. But if I'm doing it on a model or somebody I know that's going to wear a kind of more mod or heavy, I can, again, you know, this is, you're not messing with the surface. And then same thing, if someone's pushing it forward, I'm not going to mess with this piece. So just think about how you can push it around, this type of technique around the head. If someone parts it, just keeping it off of the surface is what you're aiming to do. But same thing here, I'm going to come in and maybe not quite as aggressive as I was underneath the back part, but and as I get closer to the surface of this, knowing this is going to be flopped around, I was most aggressive here, and then as I work towards this, I'm being less and less aggressive. But you can see how that starts to help pump it up. And then, let's see, last thing I'm going to do is just add a little product. So I like using some salt spray at the scalp. And just being strategic about it. You know, if you want something that's more blown out and more messy, being strategic. So thinking like about that horseshoe, that shape that sets at the top, and just lifting up what needs a little extra help, and just a few shots right under the surface. This is great. This has been great for shoots or just getting, you know, great pictures after I've finished with clients or models or whatever. So I'm just lifting that strategically up to push. And then if it dries really fast. So you could just run a quick diffuser on it or just hand dry it. Oh, it's weird to look in the camera and Bree was telling us about that yesterday. It's reversing the camera, so when you go to mess with something, it's opposite. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of paste on the ends too. Let's see, there. Isn't she pretty? Isn't she pretty, Sam?
Oh my gosh. Hey, she's beautiful. Hey,
Bye.
I can't believe how versatile this is.
Yeah, it's basically little pockets cut out everywhere. If you think about it, I repeated the same kind of technique. It's just, you know, a little bit differently here than here.
Yeah.
Basically in that little last section, kind of same thing. It's just, and then say like these basically deep inversions is what was the term that I was taught back in the day at Bumble. And it's kind of, yeah, you can move stuff all around the head. And I think it's just following the lines of what you already did. So it's still structured and you can follow it. And I think that the seamlessness of that grows out well too, you know?
Yeah, man. And I could see so many different styling techniques on this, whether you wanted to put some texture in with curl or just like a hand tousle or even like something really straight. It would look really great in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, it should be versatile.
Yeah. Hey, we had some questions come in while you're cutting. Can I ask them to you?
Yes.
Okay. So the first one is, do you always recommend this technique on dry hair or can you do this on wet hair as well?
To me, yeah, it's both. I think depending on it really depends on what person I'm putting in, on how thick their hair is, how fine their hair is. I find that with someone with medium to thick, it's better. I know I need to remove that, and so I can't see as well what I'm doing when it's wet, you know. So if someone does have finer hair, I would rather see it dry and then be able to react to it dry than start, you know, going aggressive like that right off the get-go. So you could like, if I say I've cut someone's hair 5 times and I know how it's going to react and I've learned what it's going to do, then for sure. But I think, like I said, with somebody who just has a ton of bulk to get out of the way, I know I'm safe, then I'll just go at it with either the shear or at times the razor, because I can even get steeper angles with the razor.
Yeah. Yeah. So when do you decide whether or not to cut wet hair or dry hair? I know that, you know, you've got the option to do both. I mean, what pushes you one direction or another?
I mostly start wet, if I'm honest, at the salon. It's not everyone, but for the most part, my whole thing is I'd like to get a good structure in there first, and then be able to react. I think that's the thing, is you see sometimes, and I like the balance. That's whose work I'm mostly attracted to, is you can see, which is not, I'm also enjoy work that's very structured and just stays that way. But to me, it's kind of working behind the chair for so many years. I need to feel comfortable that I can follow the shape that I created if somebody really liked it. And so I think it's that the structure is wet. 85% of the time I'm cutting people's hair wet and doing some texture as I work through. But then it's enjoyable for me to, because I don't, if I can send someone home with them not doing a lot to their hair, I would rather do that. I'd rather, you know, diffuse and see what it's doing, or very minimal hand styling, and then be like, okay, I can then just react to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And your work it showcases natural texture. I mean, always. That's one thing I've learned from you is you said diffuse, like see what their natural texture has the ability to do, and then work from that place rather than forcing the shape on it. Let the shape come out and then cut around it.
Exactly. I mean, because they are, like, we've heard this over the years. They are our walking billboard, and the less that they have to do their hair and more successful they are at it, the better our business is going to be.
Right.
And we're going to attract more clients like the ones we're putting out into the world.
Yeah. I mean, old school hairdressing says paddle brush or vent brush the hair as perfectly smooth from like the crown as possible, and
Yeah,
then put your shape in there. And then that client's going to go home, wash their hair, and it'll never look like that again.
exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
and I understand the structure and the point behind understanding the architecture of the head shape and the hair, but I think realistically, especially with trends now, seeing how texture has just become so important to people and them
Yeah.
having the freedom to let their own texture shine, it creates so much more uniqueness from cut to cut rather than them looking like these cookie cutter shapes. Like you could do that same
Totally.
haircut on 4 different people and it look different on each one of them if you were working with their natural texture.
Totally, because you would react differently. Like I said, you saw like even on the mannequin head, subtle differences of growth pattern, and you if you're reacting, then it really will, because maybe this piece would be longer, or maybe you'd make these perfectly symmetrical, or just different things. If you're allowing that, it took me a long time to get to that point, and it's a little nerve wracking. I think what I would say is practicing on models is the best way to build that confidence.
Yeah.
But you can gain, so like once you get that confidence, again, which took me a long time to get with clients, I don't have the same conversations that I used to have. People trust me, and I'm able to do more of the work. Not that I'm overly impressed. Like all the work that I do is not posted on Instagram. It's just the things that I want to put out because I want that back. I do all different kinds of things, but the people just, it's just much more enjoyable because people trust you, and you start trusting yourself if you push things further on models.
Sure. Well, hey, Brian, I know that you're responsible for a lot of people at the salon. You also have a lot of friends in the industry. And so you kind of sitting in this position of leadership. And I know people are looking to you right now in this time where things are challenging. How do you feel like you're holding up, and what do you feel like you're telling other people to do during this time?
So if I'm honest, I have days where I wake up and don't want to get out of bed, like here or there. It's not, I don't let it overtake me, but it's hard for me to switch that stuff off. I mean, I'd say that and again, that's not the overall. That's just a segment. I want to be honest, like that I have moments, but I think the big thing for me is just looking to the future. This is a time where we can plan and connect with people and kind of start thinking about the things that we want to change going back in. I started this interview series that this is just an example. Is just this is something that I've wanted to do for a long time, because I'm really grateful I've gotten to travel and do things like this and meet great people. And I thought I should start interviewing people as I travel, but I just didn't either have the time or make the time. The positive for me is every day I'm able to meet with someone that I look up to and respect, and do all these amazing things, and I'm learning from them. And I hope other people are enjoying it too. But I think the reality is just try to use this time wisely, I guess, and step back. I personally think we'll be better in the long run from this. I know there's a lot of bad stuff, and of course, if we could take away the death and the money, people, I would, give that back in a second. But I've gained so much from this time, and like I said, in knowledge, wealth of knowledge from that other people were more than happy to share, and just getting to connect with people I enjoy. So I mean, almost every day now, it's 4 days. I think in the beginning it was 7 days a week I was doing them, but I just get to hang out too. Like I see so many people doing it virtually, just hanging, like connecting with people that they might not have, or are learning from people that they wouldn't have. There's so much free education now, all that stuff. So it's cool to see our community come together.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to get back out into the world and reconnect with the people that I've gotten to talk to and hang out with, and just work on projects with those people. And there's all these possibilities, and that part's exciting for sure.
Yeah. Well, I always wonder who I'm going to be when my back's against the wall and what's going to come out. And I know, watching you, knowing that this is a hard time, not only for you, but for the stylists that you help lead that are a part of Local Honey, and even the greater network that you help lead. I see so much good coming out of you right now. And just
Thank you.
authenticity and having these conversations with different leaders in the industry and influencers. And so I'm just really grateful for your voice and who you are and what you bring to our industry. I know a lot of people look to you as a leader, and really just value, I think, your opinion. So I am certainly one of those. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. And you know that I feel the same about you. I am so proud that, you know, we sat at a dinner table 3 or 4 out of 3 years ago, maybe, and you talked about hair camp, and then to be able to see it come together and to be a part of it has been, I'm honored to be a part of it. It's such a great event. And I mean, it really is, it's the best hair event I've ever been a part of. It's just the way that people come with their guards let down and everyone is peers, and it's how I see how it should be. And like I said, it aligns perfectly, and I love it. So thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey.
Dude, you're in it for the long run, man. We love you, bud. Hey, listen, thank you so much for sharing today.
For sure.
From your hands and your heart, man. We always appreciate you. Guys, Brian Hickman is an unbelievable force for creativity, authenticity, and encouragement. If you aren't following him, you should be. He is an active man on Instagram. You can be inspired there. He also helps run a salon in Nashville called Local Honey, who's doing really rad stuff. They've got an amazing team of stylists there that are not only inspiring Nashville, but really, I would say, the country with the work they're doing. Make sure you are following Brian and his work. He has some online education that you can get to be a part of as well. It's a monthly subscription, and it's really amazing. Our salon subscribes to that, and we love the content that he puts out. So if you like seeing what you learned today, you can get so much more of that from Brian and the work he's doing. Brian, thank you so much for being on here today, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
We'll talk soon. Take care.
We'll see you soon. Hey, so I just wanted to let you guys know, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're just joining us, my name is Sam Hills, and I am the camp director of Hair Camp. Hair Camp is a community of stylists and educators that see the best in each other, and we call it out. Up until 6 weeks ago, Hair Camp was an event that happened in April in Southwest Ohio. And today we're coming at you live from Hair Camp HQ, bringing you content because we couldn't bring it to you in person. We're going to bring it to you over your screen. So this is our first ever virtual bonfire that we're doing today. And we're excited that you're joining us. Hey, if you're just now tuning in, thank you so much for hopping on. If you got to catch Brian, I'm so glad you did. Also, Mish started us out. All of this content will be available at a later time for you to consume, for you to look at, for you to go back to, for you to check, make sure that your sections were right compared to Brian's or Mish's. We're going to have all this content for you to view later. For now, stay with us. We've got some more exciting things, but I just want to tell you guys, Hair Camp, like Brian just mentioned, is just as much about heart as it is about hair. And we believe that if we create the right setting and the right space and the right people, and we combine those together, that creates this moment for us to hear the truth about who we are, and we can take time to believe it. So we want to show you guys a recap video from last year's Hair Camp. This is a fun video. It just kind of highlights the weekend, what happens at Hair Camp, and why we want you guys with us at our next event.
sting me like a bee. I still love the sweetness of your honey.
So that's a few things that you guys can expect when you come hang out with us at Hair Camp, and so much more. We've got so many exciting things planned for you guys at our next event. We want you guys to be there, and we want you to be a part of what we're doing. It's really good because we believe that blazing trails is better with friends. Speaking of friends, our next guest today is a friend of mine named Jamie Dana. Jamie Dana is an amazing person because not only is she a hairstylist, but she is also a educator and a teacher that provides amazing content to teach you how to keep your social voice, your marketing, your presence that you put out there to the world, to your clients, whether it's on Instagram, your website, or your brand, relevant. Jamie's a master of this. If the 10,000 hour rule applies to that, you need to do something for 10,000 hours to be an expert, then Jamie is an expert among experts. She has worked tirelessly to create content that's relevant for us as stylists, that we can improve our voice and focus our message. I'm really excited today. So let's get Jamie on here to talk a little bit to us today.
Hey! Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. This is amazing.
Wow, it's so great to have you. Thank you for doing this with us.
Absolutely. Like watching that video with everyone who's watching this live, I was like getting emotional and I wasn't even there last year. And I'm like, oh my gosh, when this gets to happen, it is going to be incredible. And I seriously cannot wait. So I'm just grateful to be here today too.
Well, we're excited. So Jamie, I would say that right now on this screen, you're in your element, right?
I am. This is what I do like all the time, actually. Yeah.
Jamie actually came alongside of us about 4 or 5 weeks ago. We had a phone call and Jamie said, you've got to do it. You've got to go virtual. She's like, Hair Camp's too important. We've got to get the message out. So she has been awesome walking us through how to set up today, how to make today seamless and happen. So thank you so much for all your help.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, you guys have killed it. I was just telling in the backstage behind the scenes here, I was like, you guys seriously have done such a beautiful job. And the fact that you have your background like that just makes me envious that I didn't set up some flags back up in here. Like I'm feeling a little under what you guys did.
We felt like we needed to bring Hair Camp to the people if the people couldn't come to Hair Camp. So this is our little slice of that.
100%.
I'm so excited to have you on today. We're switching gears a little bit. So far, we've learned color, we've learned cut. Why don't you talk a little bit about what we're going to be learning from you today, Jamie?
Yeah. So I think one of the big things that's on so many hairstylist minds right now is what do I do to get back into the salon? When is the salon going to reopen? How do I get back into it? And so today I'm going to be talking about how to kind of prep for the salon reopening, and a really big thing that you might not have realized throughout this entire situation, and how it could be seen as an amazing opportunity and not just necessarily a problem. So we're going to be talking through a lot of good stuff today.
Well, guys, Jamie is going to take it away. We're excited to have her here today. She's got a ton of information to share. If you've got your notebook and your pen ready, now's the time. Jamie, you ready to take over?
I am ready. Let's do this.
We're ready to learn. Thank you.
Cool. So we're going to open up my slides here in a quick second. They're going to pop them up on the screen. And like you said, if you don't already have a notebook or pen, go ahead and get one. Like run, grab a notebook and pen. I'm going to be diving into a lot of different things, and you're going to want to make sure that you have that. So we're going to dive in here, and it says how to prep for the salon to reopen, and one big thing that you might not expect. So the big question on everyone's mind is, when is this all going to end? And to be honest, this is actually a big question, not just on hairstylist minds or salon owners' minds, but pretty much like everybody's mind, right? Like, when is this all going to end? And one of the big things that I want you to realize is, as much as we want to know what that answer is, that actually is not important right now. And in fact, I want you to focus on preparing now so that you're more than ready and set up for success once you do get that green light to go back into the salon. So I know we can kind of focus a lot of our energy on, well, what's the date going to be? And maybe we got a date, and then, okay, well, is that the actual date, or is the government going to extend it? Or, and you can kind of spin out and start to just feel very flustered when it comes to, when is this whole thing going to be over? And as much as we want to know that, that is actually not important. And in fact, I just want you thinking about, okay, I don't have a date right now, but what can I be doing to prepare myself for the salon to finally reopen? So one of the big things that you might not realize about this entire situation is this has been given to us as a reset button. And I think so often we can look at this entire thing, the COVID-19 pandemic, and what a bummer it is, and how frustrating it's been, and how annoying it might feel. And we can look at it like it's been this huge, big problem. But what I want you to realize is we've actually been given a huge opportunity. And we've been given a big opportunity in what I like to call the reset button. And so this entire situation is really a blessing in disguise, because it'll all make us hit the reset button on our businesses. And this is your opportunity to start fresh, creating a business you really love. So I'm going to be walking you through exactly what this could look like. But honestly, I want you to shift your mindset, instead of it looking like a problem, into what this opportunity could look like. This is your chance to redesign the business into the way that you want it to be. And I don't want you to take this lightly. Like, we have seriously been given such a gift. So this is one thing that I like to call the beauty business journey. And this is the journey that I see so many hairstylists and beauty professionals walk down on, and how so often this path can end up leading to burnout, exhaustion, to us hating our jobs, to us resenting our clients, and how right now we've been given such an opportunity of this reset button to start down the right path. So a lot of us have graduated from cosmetology school, and usually you go into a salon and you start assisting. So maybe you just find a salon that just feels like they're going to take you in. So you start assisting, and then you start working in the salon. And usually when you become a hair professional, you just start taking any and every client. So any client that'll sit their butt in your chair, you're like, yeah, I'll do your hair. I'll give you a haircut. I'll give you a free cut with color service. Or you start doing things like Groupon, or maybe you just gave out all the discounts, or did all the free services, or just hooked up your friends and did all the things. And you take any client that will sit in your chair. And for the long time, you might not necessarily have clients that are the best clients, right? You get those clients that are always, asking you to give them a discount, or they don't really respect your prices, or don't really respect your schedule. And so because of this, you start to kind of walk down the path of not having a lot of boundaries. So a client will call you up and say, hey, can you get me in? I really need my haircut. And you're like, well, I'm not really having, I don't really have any openings, but whatever, I'll take you. I'll just squeeze you in tonight. Or, you know what, I'm going to come in on Sunday, even though I don't normally work on Sundays. Or they're like, hey, I can't really afford a haircut today. So can we just do a trim, and can I get a discount for that? And so a lot of times we end up having little to no boundaries with these types of clients, because they're not really respecting us and what we do. And a lot of times this leads to us not charging enough. So, maybe your client came in for a root touch up and they wanted to pull it through their ends. And you're like, well, I know their husband lost their job, so I kind of feel bad. I'm not going to charge them for the ends, or, it was just really like a dry trim. So I'm just going to charge them for a trim and not a full haircut, even though I did blow dry their hair and style it out, but it's fine. I'm not going to charge them that much. And then this leads to us squeezing clients in and working way too much. A lot of times this ends us up with us just being stressed out, not enjoying our job, feeling overworked, feeling burnt out, feeling like we're resenting our clients. And if you have been feeling that way before this entire COVID thing has happened, if you've been feeling overwhelmed, if you've been feeling stressed out or just coming home from work exhausted, I want you to know that this is your chance to hit the reset button. And a lot of times hairstylists come down this path and they end up either burn out or quitting. And either something comes along that you have to make a change, you decide to make a change, or we've been given the opportunity of a reset button. And this is what this could look like. So you start getting organized, you start setting up boundaries for your clients. And when a client asks if they could come in earlier, if you can squeeze them in, especially because you're going to have a million clients asking to get in right when the salon opens, you have to set up those boundaries. You have to get organized. You have to have a system and plan in place to know how to reschedule your clients. This will lead you to hopefully starting to attract dream clients. So instead of focusing on all the terrible clients that don't respect your value, that don't even, they're not your dream clients. I call these non-dream clients. We don't want to necessarily pour all of our time and energy into focusing on them. We instead want to focus on our dream clients who do respect our value, who we do love. And this will in turn help you attract more dream clients. This will lead you to being valued more and respected more. And when you talk about the fact that you have to charge them more because it was more of a color correction versus just a maintenance appointment, or you actually did do a full haircut versus a trim, they understand and they respect your value. This will allow you to lead to more creative freedom and be less stressed because you're getting to do the type of work you want to do on clients you absolutely love. You're not working 50 hours a week. You're coming home not feeling exhausted. And this could actually lead you to being booked up more, which could lead you to being, not working as many hours or making more money with the hours that you are in the salon. And ultimately, this is the path that could lead you to loving your career and loving your life. And so the reason why I show this to you is because I think so often we get stuck down the path that we feel is the right path or the path that we've been given, right? And a lot of times it's hard to break away from that path. And so right now, this moment is a moment in history. And we've been given this opportunity to hit that reset button and start down the path that could lead to loving our career and loving our life. And so if you don't take this time to take advantage of the reset button that you've been given, you'll probably end up burning out or even hating your business. So let's talk about prepping for the salon to reopen and including some things you might not have even thought about. So if you haven't already grabbed out your notebooks, this is the time because I'm going to be asking you a ton of questions. And these are things that I absolutely want you thinking about. So I see so many stylists and beauty professionals not even thinking about the prepping stage. In fact, they're just stressing about how do I make money right now? Or how do I, do all of these things right now? Or how do I just rebook my clients and reschedule them? Like, how am I going to do that? But I want you to know that this step, the prepping phase, is the most important phase. Because if you're not prepping to go back into the salon, you are going to be walking into a world of massive chaos. So this is the most important step, and that's why I wanted to talk about it with you today. So here are some things to think about that you might not have even thought about. So first, what is your pricing going to look like when you get back? Are you going to be raising your prices? Are you going to have to maybe add in certain things for having to account the fact that you have to now have masks and extra cleaning supplies and more capes? Maybe you'll do an extra service charge on top of that. Will you charge more for certain services or for corrections? So I know that there's a lot of hair colorists out there watching. We're going to have some clients come in that are going to be a little bit more of a color correction type service, right? They're not necessarily just going to be their maintenance appointment. So are you going to have to charge more for that? Will you have special service pricing? So for some clients, maybe your bleach and tone clients, and I'm talking to hair colors here because that's what I was. I was a hair colorist and I see so many things. Haircuts are one thing, but with hair color, there's a lot more different variables, right? So maybe you have your bleach and tone clients and instead of 1/2 inch coming in, you've got 3 inches coming in or 2 inches of virgin hair coming in. And we all know that that's not just a quick maintenance appointment. So maybe your client can't necessarily afford a full, bleach and tone color correction type of appointment because it's going to take way longer. It's going to cost you way more product. So you have to charge more for that. So maybe for those types of clients, you offer them something like a little bit lower maintenance where it's highlights and, a root shadow to get them to be a little bit more low maintenance. So are you going to have special service pricing? Maybe this is express colors for your root touch-up clients, just things like that. And will you discount your services or offer shorter appointments? So kind of like I just mentioned, our express colors. I used to do this in the salon when I had my clients, and instead of coming in for a full, root touch up and then a blow dry and all of that stuff, I would have them come in, I would apply their root color super quick. Not super quick. I would still do a good job, right? But I would apply their root color, they would process, my assistant would wash them out, and then they would leave wet. And these were a great option to get a client in and out a little bit quicker. They got their service taken care of, and they were able to save a little bit of money because they didn't necessarily need a full blowout. So that's an option that you could do. Are you going to discount your services? I personally don't believe that as hairstylists, we should be discounting our services right now. In fact, this is the time where we do need to show up and show our value and create an amazing client experience for our clients. So these are just the things to think about when it comes to pricing. So I just want to ask you the questions, what are you going to do with your pricing when it comes time to reopen? Second thing is, what are we going to do when it comes to supplies and products? So do you have the products you need on hand to do the services you need? And what about retail products? So for instance, I keep going back to hair color services because a lot of us require a bit more product than even just hair color or hair cutting services. But ultimately, do you have enough of your 6N root touch-up that you're going to need for pretty much every single root touch-up client, right? Do you have enough of that? And ultimately, have you accounted for maybe longer shipping times from some of your stores or supply places that you get it from? Shipping might not just be 2-day shipping like we're used to. It might take a week or longer, or maybe some items won't even be in stock anymore. So that is absolutely something that we need to think about. And in fact, every other hairstylist is going to be out buying that product themselves. So they're going to be going out and buying 6N and, the 7NA and all of the colors that you most likely need. And have you started ordering extra supplies such as capes, masks, toilet paper? So here's the deal. Ultimately, we had toilet paper Mageddon happen when everything went on lockdown. But wait till when everything opens back up and all these businesses open back up. Chances are toilet paper might be hard to get. Paper towels might be hard to get. So do you have those things? And I bring up the thing about extra capes or client robes because I think so often as stylists, maybe there's a stylist watching that's like, oh, my salon owner is going to take care of that. I don't need to worry about that. But as a stylist, I want you to be prepared just in case your salon owner doesn't have an opportunity to get enough capes for everyone. You want to make sure that you are taking care of your clients. And as a business owner, as a hairstylist, you are a business owner. And as a business owner, this is something that you should be thinking about. So do you have enough capes for 8 of your clients that are going to come in? Because every single client is going to need their own cape, and then you're going to have to wash them at the end of the day. So do you have enough capes for everyone? And do you have enough cleaning supplies? And again, even if you're a stylist, this is something I want you to think about. Do you have enough barbicide? Do you have enough cleaning supplies for your station? Don't rely always on the salon owner. This is something that you can take responsibility on your own. Okay, I know that's a lot, but now let's talk about what is your schedule going to look like. So we talked about setting boundaries, about not having our clients come in, staying late for them, or not coming in on one of your extra days. So I have a little bit of rules about what I feel like your schedule should look like so that you don't end up burning out. Because here's the deal. Some of you might have already decided, okay, I'm going to work 6 days and then I'm just going to work like a 10-hour day, 6 days a week because I got to get all my clients in. And I'll just do it for the first month just to get everybody in. And then after that, I'll go back to my normal schedule. And some of you have already decided, I'm just going to do that. It's going to be fine. And what you'll find is you're actually going to burn out and you're not offering your clients the best client experience. You're not able to do your best job for your clients. So here's my rules when it comes to your schedule. If you already work 5 days a week, you are not allowed to exceed 5 days a week. So if you work 3 days a week and you want to increase to 5 days a week, awesome. But no matter who you are watching out there, you are not allowed to exceed 5 days a week. Our bodies need time to have a break, not only just physically, but even mentally and emotionally. We're going to have clients coming in talking about so many different things, so many different energies. And so if you're not giving yourself a mental and emotional break, you're going to burn out. And that is not the point of coming back with this reset button. So 5 days a week, no more than that. If you currently work less than 40 hours, you can work up to 40 hours a week, but no more than that. So this could look like 3 days a week, 12-hour days. I'm personally not a fan of 12-hour days, but I know some of you can do it. Awesome. That's 36 hours a week. Perfect. But I don't want you working 5 days a week, 10-hour days. That is, again, the fast track to burnout. So my rule, 5 days, no more than 5 days, no more than 40 hours. And have you talked to your salon owner yet? So some of you who rent a station from a salon, you might need to talk to them about what the schedule is going to look like with you and your coworkers. I know there's going to be different regulations that come out that we might not be able to always just go back right into double booking the salon. Most likely we won't be able to. So have you spoken with your salon owner? Or if you own a suite and you borrow it with somebody, have you talked to your suite owners? Should you work extra hours or stay late for clients? I think you need to make this decision right now. Am I going to stay late? Am I going to work extra hours for my clients? And if you have decided already that you're going to, I want you just to be thinking about, okay, how many extra clients am I going to take? How many extra hours is that going to be? And again, I want you to go back to that 5 days a week, no more than 40 hours rule. And will you be able to take as many clients as you were before? I know for me, when I was in the salon, I was double booking clients and was taking a lot of clients a day with an assistant. However, going back into the salon, that might not be an option. So this is just something that you need to start thinking about right now. And how are you going to categorize and organize your clients? So I know so many stylists have been thinking about, okay, well, I'll just go back to where I had to cancel appointments and I'll just kind of work my way forward from there. And I'll just start canceling and I'll just figure it out. And so you need to decide right now if you have a system for how you're going to organize your clients. And one thing that you definitely want to be thinking about is not just who canceled first, because there's a lot of logistics there, right? But think about how often your clients are coming in. So you want to be thinking about appointment frequency. This is a really big one. And you need to decide right now who is going to get top priority and who gets to come in first. And so I know sometimes this might feel stressful. This might feel like, how do I even pick who gets top priority? There's a lot of different factors that we can base this on. And I actually have a whole online course that I just created all about how to figure out who gets top priority and how to categorize and organize your clients. It's called the Beauty Business Rebuilder. We're not going to go into that today, but there's a lot of things. And if you don't have a system or plan in place, your clients are going to feel like they have just gotten moved around and shoved around and reorganized. And so you want to make sure that you have an efficient way to organize your clients so that you know who you're going to be reaching out to first when you do get that appointment or when you do get that opening date, and how you're systematically going to fill up your schedule so that you can maximize your time in the salon. And to be honest, maximizing our time in the salon is going to be so important because, again, we're not probably going to be able to double book. Things might look differently. So you don't want to have half an hour holes or gaps in your schedule. You want to get in people as quickly and as most efficiently as possible. So these are all things that you should be thinking about right now and decisions that you should be making right now before you even have a reopening date. And there's a lot of prep work that you can be doing before the government says, okay, here is our opening date. And one thing that I just want to say is a lot of times governments have been going back and forth on these reopening dates. So make sure before you start to reschedule your clients, make sure that it is a definitive opening date. And the reason why I'm saying this is I'm assuming most of us live here in the States or in Canada. A lot of different regulations have been going on for a lot of different states. So I'm never going to say like, okay, May 15th is the day that you can start rescheduling clients. It's going to be different for every state. It's going to be different for every area even. So I just want you to do the prep work now, lay that foundation so that when you do get that reopening date, you will have a plan and system in place. And without knowing the answers to those questions that I asked you just now, you're going to have to rush at the last minute to get everything done. And you could end up feeling super overwhelmed and frazzled. And that is not what I want you to feel. I want you to feel empowered going back into the salon. I want you feeling confident going back into the salon. And the last thing I want you to feel is overwhelmed or burnout. So throughout this whole process, our entire goal is to support your clients and serve them the best way you can while rebuilding a business you absolutely love. So right now in this prep phase, I want you to be asking yourself, how can I show up and support my clients? What can I do right now to serve my clients? And maybe that's just reaching out to them, sending them a text or a DM or an email and saying, hey, Susan, it's been 6 weeks since I've been able to see you. How are you holding up? Is there any way that I can support you right now? And just by reaching out and showing your clients that you're still there, that you still care for them, this is your opportunity to strengthen those client relationships. I know for so many of us, we felt like, do I post on Instagram? How do I go about that? What should I say on Instagram? And ultimately, I want you to think about, how can I show up for my clients? Ask your clients what they need. Do they need tutorials on how to style their grown out hair or how to cover their roots, right? Maybe they just need a tutorial on how to style their hair with a cute hat so that their roots aren't showing. Maybe they need a tutorial on how to use that spray root touch-up stuff, right? Because let's be honest, it's not as easy as it looks, right? So maybe they need a tutorial on that. So I just want you asking yourself, how can I show up and support my clients right now while rebuilding a business that I love? And what are the things that I can prep right now and put into place so that I'm walking back into not just the business that I left before this entire thing happened? How can I put things in place so that I'm walking back into a business that is stronger, that is a business that I love, and that is a business that I want to move forward in? So I hope that this entire mini class here has been helpful for you. And I just want you to be thinking about, okay, how can I utilize this reset button and how can I show up to support my clients to build a business that I love? So I just want to say thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. If you haven't already connected with me on Instagram, please send me a DM. My Instagram is Jamie Dana Hairstylist. And I also have a YouTube channel where I post lots of fun stuff over there. But I would love to connect with you for watching these presentations. I just would love to see that you're tuning in to Hair Camp's virtual bonfire. So take a little screenshot, take a boomerang, do something. Definitely tag me, tag Hair Camp so that we can see it. And yeah, I just want to say thank you guys so much for being here today. I know we have some questions coming in. So I know that, let's see here. I think we can jump back over. Let me exit out of here real quick. Awesome. Hey, Sam. I can't hear you.
Hey,
and I'm wondering, there we go. Okay, here we are.
Wow. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. I think this is just something that has been on my heart as I've been seeing so many stylists just kind of freaking out and wondering, okay, what the heck do I do? This has been on my heart to be like, okay, how can I show up for my clients, right? And you guys are my clients. How can I show up and support you in this way? And yeah, I think prepping for the salon is something that so many of us have kind of put off, thinking like, I'll get there later once I have the opening date. And now these are all the things that you absolutely should be doing before you even get that date. So yeah.
I mean, I know that a lot of the conversations with stylists right now is technically, what are we supposed to do as far as like the state regulations with sanitation and hygiene and cleanliness. I love that you're saying, hey, like we can't forget why we do what we do, how we talk about what we do, how we communicate well with our clients, how we invite them into that. I love that you're focusing on this because I haven't heard a lot of people talking from this angle. And I think that this is what's going to get lost in the mix.
Yeah.
If we really focus on sort of the technical aspects of reopening, we've got to be thinking through this.
Well, I think we have to think from our clients' perspective, right? So our clients are so excited to get back into the salon and see us. Like, I just want you guys to know that your clients miss you. And I know you miss your clients and you just want to get back into the salon and take care of them. And we have to be thinking about, what does this look like from the client's perspective? I think we're thinking about state board and masks and gloves and all of this. Like, do we have people fill out a form? Like, what does that look like, right? And ultimately, what does it look like from a client's perspective? And yes, there are going to be things that regulation-wise you have to do. Maybe it is masks and gloves and filling out a form and taking their temperature. I'm not sure. Every state's different. There's going to be so many different regulations going out there, so I can't speak to that. But I want to be thinking about, what can I do to support my clients right now? And how can I create the client experience that I have in the salon right now and continue that on into us reopening? Because the client experience doesn't just stop in the salon. It continues on from you communicating to your clients on Instagram, you creating tutorials for them, you texting them, you communicating with them about their appointment, then them coming in the salon, and then even after. So the client experience is a big thing right now. And it's really, I think, going to show us what stylists and salons are proactive in this way and what stylists and salons have forgotten about this and just focused on, okay, do I have enough Lysol, right? So all things are important to think about, but I do think that thinking about and putting our clients first is really important.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Hey, a couple questions came in.
Yeah.
So this question is, these are great ideas. What's your recommendation for capturing your ideas on paper in a document? How do you feel like people should take this information and put it into something that then they can work from?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of it can feel very just like up here, right? Like, oh my gosh, okay, there's a lot of ideas. It's super overwhelming. And so we actually have been working on, like I said, the Hairstylist Business Rebuilder, which is a complete system to teach stylists how to do this with spreadsheets and text messages and all the things that you need to do to be thinking about how to prep, but also how to actually rebook your clients. So it's a little bit more complicated than something that I can just like share right here, because it's an actual spreadsheet with how to organize your clients and stuff. So if people are interested in that, you can go to beautybusinessrebuilder.com to get more information about that. But honestly, I think what it comes down to when it comes to creating a system that works for you, whether that is a system that could work for you or creating your own, is really figure out, okay, what's going to work for my business and what's going to work for my clientele. How do I, reach out to my clients? How do I normally communicate with my clients? And just kind of figuring out something that could work for you. So like I said, we have created something on the outside, not necessarily that will work for, it doesn't have to be for everybody. You totally can create your own system, but I think just kind of everyone's business is so unique, and figuring out exactly what works for you is going to be the best thing. So
yeah, I just want to say back to you is that the stylists that have a plan and have a system in place for moving forward, they're going to shine. And the ones that don't, clients are going to notice that. So it's so important that if anything, we do something, whether it's building a Google Doc or going on and using your system, it's really important that we move forward with a plan, right?
Absolutely. And I think that is going to be a huge thing. Like you said, those clients aren't going to notice. And if you're constantly just kind of making split-second decisions and not having quite a plan in place, what's going to happen is your clients are going to feel that. And they're going to be like, wait a minute, I thought I had an appointment. Did you confirm me? Wait. And that's, again, going back to the client experience, that's going to cause them stress. And I would hate for this to be the thing that makes you lose a client. And in fact, I truly do think that there's going to be 3 different types of stylists. I think there are going to be stylists who just maintain their clientele, right? Like they're going to just they get their clients in, they do the work, they maintain their clientele. I think there's going to be stylists, unfortunately, that lose clients through this whole thing. whether that's the way they communicate, whether that's not having a plan, whether that's not taking proper sanitation and the client feels uncomfortable, right? Or running late with their clients and not being able to get them in, right? Or just not communicating at all. So I think there will be some stylists and salons that do lose clients over this. And I do think that there's going to be clients or stylists that actually gain clients from this because they're showing up for their clients and their clients take notice and are telling their friends about it. Sure. So I think that it is important to think about that this really will kind of shake out the businesses that are prepared and are ready versus the ones that aren't. And there's been this phrase that's like, it's kind of an analogy, and it's kind of a saying how, I don't know who came up with it. So like, I can't give total proper credit here, but basically they're saying how when the tide goes out, like at the ocean, right? When the tide goes out, we're going to see everyone who's been swimming naked. And so what can you do, right? Like, so for me, my job is to hand out towels to everybody who's been swimming naked. I created a system to hand out towels to people, but we're going to see a lot of people who have been swimming naked. And I hope that you're not one of those people. And if you are, what can you be doing right now to set yourself up for success?
I love that analogy. Fortunately, it hits a little too close to home. A few years ago, I was on vacation with my family and thought it'd be funny to take off my bathing suit and toss it up the air and catch it. I missed it and I lost it in the ocean. And so I was one of those people who was swimming naked.
Swimming naked. You needed a towel, right? You needed a towel.
Hey, where were you when I needed you? Come on.
Oh my gosh, I'm dying.
Hey, but listen, don't get caught naked.
Don't get caught naked. That's if we learned any rules today, that's the one. All right.
Don't do what I did and get caught naked. Have a plan, put it in place. Jamie, you work so hard at making sure that others feel supported. This is a hard time for all of us. And I just want to know, how are you doing? How are you holding up?
Yeah, this is such a great question. And I appreciate everyone asking. I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I think that isn't something that's been so cool with this is I have had people text me or send me messages or just call me and check in, which people I haven't heard of, or haven't heard from in a long time, which has been so amazing. And I'm doing really well, actually. I think one thing that I have really focused on is yes, I'm actually working more right now than I was before. But I'm also making sure to put things in place so that I have my own boundaries and have my own, things in place so that I don't get burnout. And one of the things that's actually really helped me through this whole time is I have been going to a therapist for almost a year now. And I'm so grateful that I have her. I have my weekly appointments with my therapist, and that has been something that's been really helpful just to help process everything through this. And then also just having a support system and having those friends, people checking in on me. So a word of encouragement, if there's somebody that's been on your heart that you've been thinking about, or they popped in your mind and you're I wonder how they're doing, just send them a text, send them a message. It could be even a DM, and just say, hey, I'm just thinking about you, just checking in, seeing how you're doing, because it really does make a difference. And it's been really cool. I think that even though we feel as far away from people as possible right now, it's actually brought us in closer. And that's something that's just amazing. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Jamie, just like you're here for others, we're here for you, girl. Thank you so much for your thoughts and your wisdom today.
Thank you. I'm so glad that I could be here. Thank you for having me. And just thank you everyone watching for being a part of this. This is so cool. And I just want to say thank you to you guys for creating this. You have done a beautiful job with this. So thank you for providing this for our industry.
Well, it is a joy and a privilege, and we are excited to continue to do that, Jamie.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being on today. Hey, listen, guys, Jamie is an amazing resource for our industry. I know you can go to a lot of places and see hair techniques, but very rarely do you find a voice as true and authentic, and I think as wise as Jamie, that offers you techniques, skills, tips of ways that you as a stylist can not only run your salon, but your business, your brand, your marketing, your message. Those things are so important, and that is what sets you apart. If you can learn to clarify who you are, and you can learn to speak it to others through your brand and your message, you will win. It is an unequivocal fact. And so Jamie teaches you how to do that. She's an amazing resource. She's got tons of stuff online on Instagram and through her website. So make sure you are using her as a resource. She is there for us to support us and set us up for success. Jamie, we love you. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. It's great to see you. Have a great day. So guys, if you're just now tuning in, welcome to our virtual bonfire. I am the director of Hair Camp. My name is Sam Hills, and I am excited to be talking to you guys here from Hair Camp HQ. That's right. Instead of being with you this weekend, like we were scheduled to do, we're with you on your screen. And although I'd love to be hugging and high-fiving all of you in person, just consider this your virtual hug right now. So we are here with you. We're excited to be connecting with you today. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for your engagement. Again, if you guys have got questions, make sure you guys put those in the comments. We're trying to get to some of those today. If you are worried about not being able to see all the content that happened today on this live, don't worry, because we're going to be reposting this content through different sources. So make sure that you guys follow back up. If you're not signed up for our mailing list, that's where we send out a lot of detailed information. Instagram's a great place to follow us, but we'd also love for you to sign up for our mailing list and see all the cool stuff that Hair Camp is doing for our community and for our educators and for you as a stylist. Hey, listen, speaking of friends, I'm really excited because these next guys are great friends of mine. We originally met them through a mutual friend in Nashville, Tennessee, and we have watched them grow and take over when it comes to music. So our next guest is a group called Johnny Swim. They're husband and wife, and they are coming to us today from their home in Los Angeles, California. And so I met last year, my wife and I had a chance to go out to LA to hang out with Johnny Swim. Amanda wanted to go through a big change to chop all of her hair off, and I got to be there to do that for her. And it was an amazing experience. And one thing about these guys is just as beautiful as their music is, their hearts are too. So listen, they're coming to us today. And so I want you guys to enjoy this little special treat that they prepared for us. So Johnny.
Hello, Hair Camp folks. I'm Amanda. This is Abner. We are Johnny Swim, coming to you from the quarantine of our little house in California. Wishing that we could all be together this year, but as such, we're not. I also wish that I could get my hair done.
But as such, she cannot.
Anyway, we want to sing a song for you. Hope everybody's doing all right. This is what we just wrote, and this is the first time we're ever singing it all the way through, so here we go.
The first time I ever trying. Mm-hmm. No guarantees.
0.
I miss the ocean, calm like it used to be. The sky started shaking, tides they were changing, and now it's all breaking me. Wild and handsome, valiant as you could be. Your love, it was holy, sacred just for me, still is in my memory. And it's somehow still wonderful, still wonderful. Oh, ain't it still wonderful somehow? Oh, there I was looking off to the other side. My every reason, all that I needed was always you and I. And it's somehow still wonderful, still wonderful. Ain't it still wonderful somehow? Still wonderful, still wonderful. Ain't it still wonderful somehow? Watch as I carry both, not exactly as we planned, I know, but it's still good. Oh, hurt and hope, watch as I carry both, not exactly as we planned, I know, but it's still good. And it's somehow still wonderful, still wonderful. Oh, ain't it still wonderful somehow? Still wonderful, still wonderful. Ain't it still wonderful somehow? Decade gone by, so quick you can miss the words. But darling, our treasure has no way to measure, can't bury it in the earth.
Everybody take care out there.
Man, Johnny Swim. If you guys don't know their music, check them out. They're amazing. They were supposed to be on a world tour right now, but they're touring from their home. So we were glad that they could join us today to give us a little inspiration, a little hope, a little beauty through music. Hey, I am just so excited because we are on our last educator. Thanks for sticking with us today. If anybody has been in it for the long run, man, we're so grateful for you guys. If you're just now joining us, my name is Sam Hills, and I am the director of Hair Camp. And I'm passionate about you because you're a stylist, and so am I. And it is important to me that we create a community of people that see the best in each other and we call it out. That's what Hair Camp is about. That's what we are about. And that's what today is about. And although we couldn't be together this year, we are with you, coming at you live through our virtual bonfire. Our next guest is a legend. I met this beautiful woman in Los Angeles last year. Her name is BRIANA CISNEROS. BRIANA is an educator and a go-getter. She reaches for the stars and she grabs them and she pulls them right down. And if you've ever met her, you know that she's got that star power. So I'm excited because BRIANA is a pretty versatile stylist. Today, she's going to be coming at us, teaching us an amazing technique involving hair color. And she's going to be taking us back a little old school to the 90s today with today's technique. So we're excited about BRIANA and who she is. So why don't we get her on here and say hello? Hey, Bri.
Yeah, I think my mic is muted.
No, you're good. I've got you.
Oh, cool. Oh, thanks.
Awesome.
I don't know about technology, really. Good, really good. Oh my gosh, Johnny Swim, that was like the lyrics and for the moment and for all of the things, the video, all of the lessons. Like, I feel like I just got schooled. It was so good. It's been so good this whole time.
So Amanda sent me that song last night and she said, hey, no one's heard this song yet. So it's so cool because we are the first people to hear that song. That's a new one they've been working on.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and that line, it's still wonderful. Man, I think right now, like clinging to that hope that even in the midst of this, it's still wonderful. What a message.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what's wonderful?
What?
Thank you for being here.
I would not freaking miss it. Are you kidding me? I look forward to like this weekend all year long, so I wouldn't have missed it.
Yeah, sorry we're not in person. I wish we were. Hey,
it's all good.
Who's your friend behind you? I love her setup. She's got her Hair Camp shirt on.
Yep, she's hiking some trails with her ponytails. I
love it. Yes.
That was the coolest thing, you guys screen printing all those shirts. And I even have my mug. I'm in the spirit.
Man, your studio looks just as cool as ours. Look at you. You're ready, girl.
I'm an avid fan.
we're excited you're on here today. Thanks for rounding us out. So BRIANA, yeah, so you're going to be teaching us a technique today. Tell us a little bit about this, because I'm excited about this one. It's pretty fun.
Well, I've like, it's so funny because I was even hesitant to make it because so much of my work is like, and kind of what, you know, you become kind of known for something, you know, a little bit. And one of the things was really just like the softness of that blend. Like basically something I prided my work in is like, you don't ever have to shadow tone. Like the bones of the structure are there, like, you know, just like integral, lots of baby lights and really soft transitions. And then lo and behold, the 90s highlight is, whether we like it or, that's the thing about trends, is like we are kind of at their mercy at some moment, like even if we're not quite ready for it. And I was actually, you know, I was all about it in the 90s, all about it. But because we veered so far from it, you know, it gives you this little bit of like, that was like the no-go zone, you know? Yeah. And so I wanted to come up with something. This is like, was my like task for myself. I did it just this week. So just like Johnny Swim, like I haven't taught this yet. And I was going to even release it like for my education. So even on my Instagram, I showed a snippet, but it's not really the technique. So you guys will get it all here. And it's the 90s highlight, but to where you don't have to shadow tone so much. And it's like, yeah, so it has soft transition, it incorporates balayage, but it has those chunky, dramatic highlights people are digging right now.
Well, man, I was a product of the 90s. So much of my fashion and inspiration was established then. So like this, when you were telling me about this technique, it really resonates with me. Also, maybe you weren't a product of the 90s for those who are out there, but you love throwback. So this is one. BRIANA, you ready to take us there?
Oh, so ready. Absolutely.
All right. Well, we can
check out my chair too, by the way. Can you see it?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I got all of it going. I'm so branded right now.
Well, thanks for being on our team, girl. Hey, we're going to give you the screen so you enjoy. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, BRIANA CISNEROS.
All right, thanks. Cool. So here we are. I'm not going to chat too much. I wanted to show you kind of the product that I'm using. This is a Blondor, that way, that way. This is Wella Blondor. It's your multi-powder lightener. So it lightens basically what you would use kind of your powder bleach lightener. But this one goes pretty true to lift. So, you know, on some lighteners, you'd use like a 10 volume to get, you know, tons of lift. This one, you can use the 20 volume to get what you think with 20 and 30 and 40 and so on. So just so you know what we're using. So when I talk about volumes and developers, you can translate that into what you're using, okay? So I have her sectioned out here for you guys. I'm gonna pick her up off of here and I'm gonna show you guys exactly what the sectioning pattern is, because I really want you to get a good feel for where I'm working and what I'm working towards. So basically it's almost like a radial section, but I'm taking it like just behind the ear. But the difference between this radial section and one that you would just divide it into 4 is that I'm going off of her natural little parting. So see how she has this calic right here, which all doll heads, it all kind of like gets plugged in from this point. So from this point is where that calic is. So this would rotate over here, wherever your client wears their hair. Because to see a chunky highlight, it has to fall where it's gonna fall. Okay, so this is going with the natural growth pattern of the hair, which is another thing that makes it more organic and more cool and modern, is that you're going with the natural growth pattern of the hair, which is there. Okay, so off of that point, radial section, then 3 sections in the back. You can see how these sections are going just to this corner here, right? And then in the front, your sectioning goes to the high recession right here. Cool? So you have a middle, sides, middle, sides. And we're gonna start in the back section. And today, I wanted to section her out completely, but I am going to just be working one side of the head because we have a half an hour to foil 3/4 of a full weave. So we're jumping in quick. All right, so I'm going to start here in the back. Now, this is something I want you guys to understand, that it's absolutely up to your interpretation. You don't have to do it so literal, because you know you're going to get clients that want to see that chunky highlight. here at the nape, okay? So because this is one that I'm wanting to essentially have more depth on the underneath and feel a little bit more balayaged at the same time, I'm going to be able to take some bigger sections and work quickly through, as opposed to incorporating some of those chunkier highlights here and throughout this area. So my first section, and don't worry because I'm going to repeat this on the side, so I'm going to work quickly through, is going to be a triangle section right here. So like I said, this sectioning is going to be smaller or bigger based on how much depth you want through here, right? And how much brightness you want on the ends. The reason this is such a nice big section and right at her nape for me is that I want to see that brightness still coming in through the underneath, so that it stays modern, just like you would see in a balayage where it focuses more here around the hairline, bursts down through, and then comes out from the underneath and has that burst of blonde. So I still want to incorporate that. So I take this triangle section. It's a true triangle. The point is at the top. I'm holding it out, giving it a good tease. Now the key is that you don't want to take this section any thicker. She's a doll head. I can take it a little bit bigger, but realistically on a client, you do not want to take this section any thicker than what you would, or than what your product can saturate all the way through. So now let me turn her for you so you can see. So I've just glued it on there, right? And now I'm going to start working my way up. I have a good amount of tease to where my painting pattern will be diffused and it will get kind of erased and softened. I'm making a V pattern in this back section. The reason I'm doing V's here is because I want to create this halo burst of blonde that kind of comes from the underneath. Okay, so this will be a V that attaches to this section, is going to be a diagonal back. And same with the other side to create that halo on the underneath. Cool. And then I make my V and I come up and I just softly blend that out. Blend that line of demarcation out a little bit, but I don't want to surface paint too much at all because this is not balayage. This couldn't be more opposite than Mish's thing, which I was like loving hearing, except for there was a few things that I was like, oh my gosh, that's just, what's true is true, right? Like depth and brightness, like really focusing on, what did she say? She put it so beautifully and I can't remember it, but basically, depth and brightness, it's equally as important, you know? So even though I'm only highlighting and I'm not low lighting, I need to think about where that depth is hitting, because if I just go in and like really pack in the highlights, you will not see, even if I'm weaving them chunkily, because that's a word, you're not going to see them because the depth has to be there in order to see them. Now I'm going to be pretty extreme here. You guys are going to be like, what is she doing? That is a chunky highlight. Cool. So I want to be a little bit more extreme here because I am going to tease that and I'm going to paint it lower. So if I take it too fine, this is similar to what Mish's class was too. So if you missed that, you better go back and watch it. It was so good. What you need to be doing is painting, getting something that is a little bit of a kind of bigger pickup than you even think that you would take, because you're incorporating roots and you're not going to actually see it because this is going to be rather blended out. So if you don't take it chunky enough, the problem there is that because you're teasing it, you're incorporating some root depth, you actually are going to get lots of diffusion here. You want to see those bright pieces pull through. So that's the point of this technique, right? This is for that client that like really wants to see those highs and those lows. Trust me, they are there. And this is such a cool, like, it goes so fast right here on the underneath, like crazy fast. Now my triangle is not quite as deep right here, okay? So I did one triangle, now I'm doing my second triangle up this back section. Boom, cool. So I'm gonna stand aside, cool. I'm gonna elevate to 90, and then I'm going to do one big nice tease, possibly two. But if I do too many like back combs and you're kind of packing it in, it is going to be a nightmare to get out that tease. So the less times you push that hair up, the less times you have to comb it out. So I am all about that. I'm all about thinking about that end goal that you have for for your I don't know, anything to make your life easier and to cut down time, right? So I'm painting this up rather high, if you notice, on my foil, but that's because I teased her so much, and what goes up must come down. I've never used that before. That's kind of like so true and perfect. What goes up must come down. So it's going to come back down and create more of a low light, and this is going to sit lower than what it looks like. So if I really want some of that impact through this underneath part, I need to paint it up nice and high. Cool. As well as those little chunky weaves are not teased quite as much at all, so they will already sit a little bit higher, which is what I want. So now that I'm here, this is almost like what you would consider your partial highlights, if you will. So so now I'm actually going to completely omit these underneath sections. I'm going to take that big chunky weave, boom, 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 3 weaves right there. Cool. And tease. So see, it doesn't leave much room. I'm even going to take a little more. I'm going for it. So it doesn't leave much room for low light at the end of it. But if you notice, a lot of the low lights in here. So you'll have tons of brightness through the ends, and the ribbons will be popping up through those balayage pieces in the underneath. All right. And I know they're collecting your questions. So make sure you're writing all your questions, because I do want to get to them, because I know this is like pretty new for some people. Well, it's new to me, so it should be new to you. I'm like, just made it up. So now I'm gonna lift those ends, saturate, put those ends down, saturate. And if you were with me at hair camp, we would be in this cabin right now, and I'd be walking around and I'd be holding your hand being like, no, you need to saturate more in the mid shaft, because you don't want to have to open up that foil and resaturate later. Make sure you're saturating all the way through. I think that's probably one of the #1 mistakes. So then I fold the foil, fold, fold, and this is another one. If it takes you more than boom, 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 and that you could just like fold a foil really quickly and you're kind of fussing and fussing and fussing, that's going to add to your end time. And that's just not good for anyone, right? So you want to be careful to not add to that end, like how long it takes you to foil ahead. But look at how quick. This is like, that's why I said I'm going to actually foil like 3/4 of this baby's head, and in a half an hour, hopefully, if all goes as planned. So now I do a 1, 2, 3 pickup, nice little heavy weave. I'm still teasing at the root. Now in this crown area, you can work a little bit further away from the crown if you want to have it more blended, but I really want to see this happen. Like I just want that tease to be enough to blend that line. And at least just blend it a little bit. If I'm not getting a full blend, there still is, I still think that this is a good thing to shadow tone, but the thing is all the highs and lows are already in the right places. So you're not erasing a ton, you're just maybe doing a little touch to melt it down, and that's it. And I love that, because then you don't have to put a level 4 on top of bleach blonde that's been already like lifted to a level 10, and then it fades, and then it turns into a different color before they come back, and then you have to overlap bleach back onto it to lift out that level 4, and now you have breakage. So I'm always trying to think about what is going to help my client in the long run, and just the integrity, the health, and all of those things. So notice there's a little tiny triangle left, leave it out. At this point, I would move to the other side, do that, and then move to this side. So I'm just skipping one side, but you're seeing it right here. So there's nothing you're not seeing, okay? But I would do the whole back kind of exactly the same. So the only thing is this triangle is going to shoot back this way. So just following her hairline. You can see that beautiful triangle right there. Again, If you want to incorporate more of a heavy weave in between these, absolutely go for it. But like I said, I kind of want this to be softer with more just like ribbons of color kind of coming through. So you'll see. And I wanted to get an end result for you, but it's funny because I already like covered the last one that I did. I've been like wanting to work constantly like on these doll heads, because when do we have the time to just sit and create like brand new techniques, you know? So she's already covered up, but you can check out what it looks like my after on my Instagram. It's just my name, BRIANA CISNEROS. And so like, if you go there, you can see the after results of this. And I kind of pick through and shake her around, and you can see like how everything falls, but I'm sure you guys are able to visualize. So now I'm doing a really nice high up, steep diagonal back, because what goes up must come down. That tease is going to come down, diffuse the line even more, much more. I don't want to surface paint too much in that area. I am using, and I wouldn't do this necessarily on a client, or maybe I would, it completely depends on the situation, but on a doll head, I feel like 30 volume is probably a great way to go, just because this one in particular has a really hard time lifting. So I'm using 30 volume, and I'll probably leave it on her for a while. But on a client, I don't let things process longer than they need to process ever. Like I have to force myself to go in and take bigger chunks. It's like against my nature, you know? But yeah, so I don't let things process. I don't longer than they ever have to. I'm always either rinsing it out straight away if it's done, or I'm incrementally increasing my developer as I work through. So going as high up as I can get on here, bring this down, incorporating those ends and fully saturating, making sure there's no little loops or pockets of hair that you can kind of see through the product. You want to make sure that it's almost like icing a cake, you know, or your Cinnabons or something, you know, when there's not enough frosting and you can see through it to the cinnamon. You're like, oh, I want that one, you know, so don't do that. So now I'm going to take my next triangle. This one's going to be much smaller, because now I'm working my way really close to where that crown area is. Take my triangle. What a fast way, right, to get that like big burst of blonde in the underneath. It works like a charm, and you'll be shocked. She'll look like she has completely different colored hair at the end of this, because if you notice, there really isn't a lot of low light that you're leaving out, except for what is in the mid shaft, you know, on these kind of foilayaged sections here. So I'm creating my diagonal back, because remember, my diagonal back is going to connect to my V, creating a nice, beautiful halo burst of blonde from here all the way back. So I'm still keeping that kind of modern, you know, what we like to see here in the 2000s. Now, I'm turning her a bit. Cool. Chunky weave. So now this section, it's really cool what happens right here once these all combined. But this would be my last section here on the side. There's only room for like to weave 2 of these. I want them bigger. I'm telling you, you think you're taking them really big, like that seems really big, but once you diffuse this root, and then you paint further away from the root, it's not as big as you quite thought it was. That's my lesson that I learned this last time doing it, because the last time I did it was the first time I did it, you know? So, so I was like, okay, next time I'm going to force myself and take them a little bit bigger. The cool thing about the sectioning pattern is that because they are these kind of like spokes on a wheel all the way around where her head naturally parts, you're not getting this very like zebra stripey effect. You're getting those like ribbons of color, and they're kind of organically placed all the way around the head, but you're not, it's not the same kind of zebra stripes that that we've been like I'm into it, like I like the like I like the 90s. Trust me, I'm into that vibe. I'm fashion wise, I'm like all about it. I'm like, but how can we do it to where those chunks, like when you whip your head, they just kind of like are coming from organically everywhere. So cool. So now what you're going to be left with is, it's really cool because you kind of get this little, do you guys remember what a trapezoid is? You get a trapezoid basically right here. Okay, so it's here, and then same on this side once you cut that corner off too. Okay, and so you have this nice little almost square section to work from. And I'm just gonna take that horizontally, so I can put her back on her stake, my head on its stake. I'll work that horizontally here, okay? And you could do 1, maybe 2 sections. Because remember, the depth is extremely important. So you want to make sure you're maintaining enough depth. And actually, sometimes I'll even leave, well, that's about the point. Because then once you work your way to your radial section, you have like a very clear place where there's that foil to stop. So 1, 2, nice big chunks. Making sure you're directing it high, teasing it. The thing is too, is that once you get to this, you're only doing 2 triangles. You're doing 2 triangles on the first section, 2 triangles of foliage on the second section. The first one was in a V pattern, second one, a diagonal back. Okay. And then you're going in with your chunky weave, elevating to a 90-degree, teasing, applying your product as close to that tease as you can get, because it's going to drop down further. So that's going to have to be like based on your clients, you know, what they want to see. If they're really like into the chunky all the way up, you might omit the tease, but the tease is what makes it soft to me and painting it further away from the root. I want you guys to not miss this either. I'm leaving some depth between where this highlight was picked up and my next highlight's picked up, because these little ribbons of depth are equally as important, just like Mish said. It's so true that hair color, there's just like, there's certain rules that you kind of start to follow, and then there's certain shapes and tones and things like that that just don't really change, or they're just true because they're true. And then you can let your creativity explode. Like, okay, how can I incorporate teasing these sections? How can I incorporate a different pickup pattern? How can I incorporate different painting patterns within my foliage or my balayage to fit the round of the head and to fit the shape or the effect that I want it to give afterwards. So always understanding the why is going to be extremely important to all of your work. Just like what Brian said too. Just kind of like, he was like, I want this to look like that, so I'm gonna work it in this way. So thinking about, okay, I want, like, envisioning what you want and then having the expertise and the techniques to be the engine that gets you there, right? Cool. So now I'm gonna undo her little swirlies. I'll just clip this aside. You could work this section next and then work the top section. I think that would probably be easiest. Sometimes it depends on what I want to see around that hairline. So we'll do this now. Doll heads have a bit of a funny situation here. They have kind of this like loop that goes back and this loop that goes back again. So I like to work those in 2 sections, all the way up to the root, because we got to detail out that hairline, got to get as close to the root as possible. I might actually do something that is just slightly away from the root, and I am going to mix. I have or you know what, I'm going to go straight in with this same volume. The thing is I actually lifted her high. You can see if it's a little bit of a different shade here. I did lift her hairline already, and I actually toned it back down this morning with 7-stroke 03 in Color Touch, a demi-permanent, just to get it to go back down to a color that looks even for you guys. create an even canvas. But what I'm gonna do is after this, I'll end up pulling these foils straight out, the ones that lift quicker. So I'm going to switch my hands, hold it up high on her head. I'm taking this all in one section because I decided I wanted to do a slight root here as well. So I take my product all the way up to the root, and then I turn my brush vertically, and I just soften that edge ever so slightly. Cool. So that's one slice. And then the second one behind it, I'm going to take my next slice. So 2 back-to-back slices is going to create a much stronger, bolder burst of blonde in that front hairline. So they have this like mega chunk that happens before they get into the rest of their kind of more ribbony, you know, highs that they have in their hair. So that keeps it really nice and modern as well, because I feel like everybody wants to see that kind of money piece happening right now. So this creates a money piece within the high contrast of color. And this money piece will also connect through to all of those diagonal backs. And you'll see how we connect that in just a sec. Can you guys see what I'm doing? I'll turn her a little more for you. Cool. Just saturating really good. Going back up and making sure it's nice and soft here. I'm giving this one a double fold. I'll fold it once, fold it twice, because typically on a hairline, there's not as much hair as what she has. So you might have to go in and do more back-to-back, like just fine slices. So now right behind this, I want to make sure there is a ribbon of depth to really make that pop. And I want to slowly work my way lower. So if I went all the way to the hairline here I would work almost all the way to the hairline, if that makes any sense. And I'm taking this in a nice, big, heavy pickup, leaving the ends here out. This one, I'm actually not going to tease, okay? Typically, well, because I went a little bit away from the root here, I could do like a slight tease, but I don't, if I'm working all the way to the root here, this one I would not tease, and I would just like feather up to the root, because I want this to be nice and high up. I don't want this to drop down too much lower, because I want to slowly eventually creep my way away from the hairline, because the hairline is my area of most brightness. And my crown is basically my area of most depth, is where I want to incorporate most of the depth, which is why I don't have any foliage pieces there, which is why even the highlights that I incorporate are painted just slightly lower. And I'm always thinking about how can I creep away from that front really heavy, you know, money piece, a little lower, little lower, little lower. And now I'll go ahead and double up my foil. She has enough hair to where I'll just double it up, give it one fold, fold on the side, and then fold on the other side. I'll clip this piece up because I want this to be that money piece, and I don't want these ends to kind of muddy up that brightness that comes and travels all the way through. So I'll give it a good tease and do that diagonal back. Okay. And then double fold. Cool. So now from here, I can incorporate my first triangle. And essentially the top section is going to be more of the same. Pretty similar. I'm going to try to work rapidly through here to finish up for you guys. And I'm not sure, I think we're doing okay on time, but Sam, if you ever want to pop in, I wouldn't mind it, because we could even do the Q&A, and I could just kind of like finish up the top section, just a suggestion if you want to, or not. Just throwing it out there. if it's a good idea. It might not be. So there's a triangle.
Brianna,
Hey.
that's a great suggestion.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't know if it's a good idea, but we can because I'm gonna just keep jamming.
I wish I was handing you foils right now. It's so mesmerizing watching you just section and part and foil. Yeah, so I know that you are sort of this like wealth of creativity. Where like this is a technique that you're like, hey, I just want to try this. I want to see what this looks like. What does it like? Talk through when ideas come into your head. What does it look like from going to an idea into action?
Cool. Okay. So initially, this I actually okay. So it's kind of a lie. I kind of came up with it. Like I did it, but pseudo didn't. I didn't fully think it out. On somebody that was a friend of mine, and she's like, do whatever you want, and I was like, really digging. Oh my gosh, what's her name? Lupe, the singer that's so huge right now. Dua Lipa. I was like, dude, like all that contrast, like all that color blocking, trust me, it's coming for us. Yeah. So I was like totally stoked to be like, let's just do something like that has more like just that's different than what we've done before, you know? Sure. So that's how I came up with the sectioning pattern, because I was like, you know what, but I want like this feels organic, but then our pickup will be different. And it kind of started there where I just started really, it's just like comes from like when you see something and it inspires you and like, that's sick. And then I start to problem solve, because for me, my Instagram's not about me. It's about like I feel like I'm in the service industry still, you know, like I'm a hairdresser. We're all in the service industry. So my Instagram is about serving whoever's watching. And if clients are coming and asking them for this and all they've been doing is like super melty stuff, they're going to be stuck, you know? So I'm like, all right, I feel the burden to like, I gotta figure this out, you know? And I'm just going to lean her towards you guys so you can see. But so, yeah, so to me, it comes out of just like, this is a need mixed with like, you know, the creative process is kind of like what I was explaining before. Like, you know, your basic like techniques and what this will give you, the effect certain things give you, and marrying them together to re-inspire your work and refresh what you're doing and meet the needs of your clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're taking sections, sectioning, parting, keeping your foils clean and neat, keeping your folding clean and neat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think we all have different approaches to that. How important is making sure those sections are clean, making sure those foils are folded neatly?
Okay, well, I have really grown and learned that like I mean, I was a little bit neurotic from the beginning, but I was always kind of this like more artsy, like haphazard type, like maybe with my tools, you know, just being like, oh, where's that? Okay, cool. You know, like, but the sections are always neat, but then I'm always kind of crazy. And so I grew into this area where things are very like ritualistic. Like I'm like really methodic about like what I'm doing, and that helps explode my creativity. So that's crazy. Like a huge lesson for me has just been that like the cleaner and the neater you are with your sections, your work, and what it means is you don't have to worry about that stuff. Like I don't have to worry about anything. I had 3 bowls of lightener mixed up, ready to go, like my foils set, clean, and you know, in a pile exactly the way I like them, so they're not going to annoy me later. And so it just basically frees you up to be like, to do your best work, you know? So I think it's all just comes out of like, I want to do my best work. I want to create art that, you know, I feel good about, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think that it just slowly, I matured into that. You know, I was just like this little like punk rock kid that would just take like, you know, I lived in that like disconnection era, and everybody's just slinging things and like having a blast, and it was so fun. But then I had to really like whip it into shape, you know, to become like more masterful. I felt like, you know, like I wanted to become more masterful.
Well, it certainly shows. Hey,
Mm.
a couple questions came in. One of which is, do you have a recommendation on a foil comb?
Absolutely, it's this one. So this is YS Park,
Okay.
and everybody has a preference. But this one is a little bit shorter. The shorter for me here, the closer my hand is to the head. This is just for me because some people use the long ones, you know? But the shorter the comb there, the closer I am to the head and the more control I have in my partings. So it's a YS Park carbon comb, but I don't know like numbers and letters and things. So there might be numbers and letters and things, but I don't know what those are. So I'm sure you could find it on YS Park. It's this kind of smaller one, has holes on the top.
So give us your top 3 tools in your kit.
This brush, which is one that we make, but we don't really sell it. We give them away at hair camp.
Okay.
So we give them away to all of the students
I
at
know
hair
the
camp.
High Five stylists still have those. In fact, I've tried to steal one because I didn't get one last year from some of our stylists, and
I didn't give you one.
I always get my hand slapped. They're like, "Don't touch my BRIANA brush."
Oh no! Yeah, me and Shannon had these made in Korea because we had this like guy that just could get these like, you know, hookups from Korea. You know, and so, like I feel like I'm part of like some kind of business Korean mafia. It's awesome because of Shannon. And so we've got all these hookups, and yeah, that's where it came from. So you can't get them anywhere else, but they're just really soft. They're perforated. I wish I could show you a clean one. I don't have a clean one on me, but they're just really, you know. But anyways, yeah, I'm not selling them. I'm not trying to sell them. I'm just like telling you about them because that's my favorite. But because we don't have enough, we just give them away to our students at our workshop evolve classes. I've done it at other classes. Like when we have brushes, we just like give them to our students because we're like, guess what, guys? This brush. It's like fun for us, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, so we've got your foil comb, you've got your brush.
And then I would say, okay, I'm only revealing this here, but is this going to go everywhere?
Let's hear it.
People don't know, and because we only tell it in our classes too. These are knitting needles, and they're the exact diameter of my tail comb. So when I'm working tight and close, see how it'll be like in my way here? I can push it all the way down to where it's nothing. So the bun, there's no clip sticking out. There's nothing going on. You use them for sectioning. You and then once the sectioning's done, you look way professional and legit, and the benefit of that. And then also you can work so clean and tight to the scalp with them. They're insane.
That's amazing. Incredible.
So if I had only that to do like a whole like whatever in color, I'd be fine.
You know, I've seen chopsticks, but I've never seen the knitting needle. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, chopsticks are too thick. They don't work. They work, but then they're like harder.
So this style's totally giving me some Avril Lavigne vibes.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. She was such a cool like skater chick. Okay, so I did two. I just want to let you guys know I did two slices just like I did in the side, and then I left myself a good gap of dark depth. And now I'm taking my heavy weave pickup, boom, boom. And I'm digging, but I'm not digging too deep because I'm actually going to paint this as close to the root as I was here. And then this will get teased. And then this will get a inverted V, because when that inverted V breaks apart, guess what? You have a diagonal back and a diagonal back.
Yeah. Hey, BRIANA.
Yeah.
Another question came in. So this works great on a brunette going lighter. What happens if you've got a blonde, but you want to pull off a look like this?
You do it in reverse. So basically, everything that I'm doing in these foils, you could straight up do, but paint the negative effect.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
And it's very just watch Mish's and then watch mine and then combine it and make your own technique. Take all of Mish's advice. I would say Mish, it's Mish, but I always say Mish. I don't know why. I give her my own version of her name. Take all of her advice because it's super good advice for low lighting, and then like do it in this pattern.
Man, if you could do Mish's technique, your technique, and Brian's V-bangs, holy cow.
Forget it. I know, it's as if we planned this.
The trendiness would be off. It would break the trendy charts.
That's so awesome.
Amazing. Hey, so you've been busy, huh? You've been continuing to make content and continue to stay engaged.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
you know, do you feel like, where's that coming from? You know, what motivates you to continue to do that even when times are tough?
Actually, it's kind of the opposite for me. When times are tough, I feel like I thrive. And I've been that way. I think my whole life. I don't like to admit that I have to kind of learn things the hard way, or things like when the pressure is on. I feel like rising to the occasion feels like it just feels really good to me. Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's like I said, we're in the service industry, and I love serving people. I love all of that, you know? So it doesn't just like stop, you know, when you're not, because I'm still in the salon. I still take clients. I do all of that. I don't take new clients, and I'm not in as much, and I'm doing more education. My first triangle. But it's still, you're still like exactly the same human, as far as like your need to like serve people and grow a team. Like for me, I know, Sam, you're totally the same way with your team. Like, you genuinely feel that like love and almost like burden, but in a good way for them, you know? So the same thing that motivates you to be like, nope, like pick myself up by my bootstraps. We're doing a virtual bonfire. You know what I mean? Because you have all these people that are like, you know, kind of depending on you. And so I love rising to the occasion for people that I already care about. It just kind of comes like naturally, I guess, because yeah, I don't know, right? Don't you feel the same way for your team and your kids? And it's like the same, like to me, followers are real people. I don't think of them as like numbers. I think of them as humans. And I just think like, you know what? Like that reality became reality when I was touring, and people are like coming and crying and like thanking you because it's free education and they couldn't afford anything and they were in a tight spot. And so, yeah, just meeting those needs. So when times get tough, it's like time to get to work, you know, and work harder to maintain something that you just don't want to take for granted, you know?
You know, the longer that Hair Camp's been at this, the more we sort of realize who we are.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that this has caused us to be reflective of is what's it look like for us as a community. And I think that if we can continue to provide a platform, and platform is such a generic word, but if we can provide a space really for people like you and people like our campers to connect in an authentic way, then that's our job right now, is to create that in the industry.
I love that.
Yeah, there's such a feeling of scarcity often. And even when people sit in positions of influence or power, sometimes what's motivating them is scarcity. There's fear around them being in that position. And so I'm excited because what we believe is that you've got great things that we want to learn from. Mish has great things we want to learn from. Brian has great things. Hair Camp has great things that we want to teach. And so I think that if we all sort of come at this collaboratively, we can truly make this industry a better place. So yeah, that's a huge motivator for us too right now, BRIANA.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think it's just like, look, like it's starting to sound like cliche, you know, we're all in this together, you know?
Right.
But like there is so much like comfort in that, you know? And it's like people that, you know, like Brian was saying in his interviews, he's been holding all these interviews with people that he hasn't talked to. And all of a sudden I already feel more bonded to Brian. We like sat and you know, he forced my whole life story out of me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I haven't like thought about this in forever. Like what, you know, and there's that real, and that's what Hair Camp was for me too, it was like times like this where it's like, you're coming completely like raw and real and talking about things that are raw and real and that you genuinely love and what makes you you. And so it's crazy. Like it's kind of like, you know, I really feel the Hair Camp vibes kind of even happening now because people are forced to connect deeper, and they're forced to connect like in a real level, you know?
Yeah. I mean, adversity builds relationship. I was listening to a podcast last night, and it was talking about astronauts and what they do to go into training. And they send them on these like crazy adventure trips, like to the Antarctica, or like the base of the Grand Canyon. And they make them spend like 10 days together.
Wow.
Like going through these crazy hard situations. And they're just like, hey, if you can experience relationship doing lunch, doing drinks, and that's fun. And a big part of relationships is fun. But if you don't experience adversity with somebody, you really can't trust them on a deep level.
Wow.
So, it was just like this really powerful statement. And man, talk about adversity. Like, we are all experiencing this. And what's amazing is that a lot of times adverse situations are individuals experiencing hard things. We're experiencing this collectively.
Yes.
And so I think what this is an opportunity to do is to stop and recognize that and say, hey, we're all in this together. How are we bonding? How are we growing? And I think that's an important question that our industry and the community of stylists that make up Hair Camp need to be asking each other right now. So thank you.
That's awesome.
Hey, dive back into that color. Tell us where you're at right now.
Oh, dude, it's just the last section. So it's going to create that same square because I left out that triangle here, and a triangle here. So you kind of get this same little like square section through the top. And what I was doing while we were chatting it up was like, I did those two, just a quick recap while I'm doing this last section. I'm trying to turn her for you, but she's being really stubborn with me right now. Or actually, this is pretty good, so you guys can see how that section. But where's my little? This is my last one broke, so Gerard gave me this one. So actually, I'll go this way. So I'm still learning it because it's an old one. All right, cool. So this goes. There you go. If you guys can see that. All right. So there's this last square section right here. Cool. It's not showing it right there. And the quick recap is that I did slices. Then I did a heavy weave pickup close to the scalp, no tease. Then I did a triangle. And then it's a very shallow triangle because I don't want to create too much root depth in between where that was. I want to create equal amounts of root depth all the way through this kind of a mohawk section, this mohawk triangle section. So I'm creating that equal amounts of root depth between each chunky weave so that you genuinely do get that, like, you know, like highs and lows that we all remember. And then after I do that first like triangle, I'm just going in and doing highs and lows. And so it's highs and lows all the way back, meaning that chunky weave pickup with the tees, all the way back until you get to this last section. Incorporate all those sections together for your last and final chunky weave. And boom, you're done. And she's done. That's it. So I hope you guys got all that. I'll leave her somewhere over here.
That's awesome.
But
man, yeah, I think that one of the things I learned from watching you is, I think a lot of times we come out of education events and we're like, okay, I quit. I'm never doing hair again. I can never be BRIANA. And I've certainly felt that, you know, walking away from classes with you. But at the same time, I think that every time I'm learning, okay, look at sectioning, look at the size of her weave, look at how she's taking, like, there's so many small things that add up to make your look. And so that's what I'm trying to take away as a student watching. And so I think it's really important to realize is that we are all in different places. You've logged a lot of hours getting to the point where you make this look easy. But I think that we can get there. And I think that it just takes consistency and doing things over and over and over and over again, just like you, right? Repetition's so important.
Oh yeah. I can't even tell you how many times. I think a lot of it, like when we did the color correction technique over and over and over, and the ones that we taught actually even at hair camp last year too, it it starts to, you do train yourself. There's a certain amount of, it takes discipline, but not in, when it's something that you love, it should just feel like passion. It shouldn't feel like discipline. It's just basically like every single head, even if you're just working not in this new like sectioning and all these new things and whatever, even if you're working the same way that you've worked on other people before, doing the same thing that you've done before, which is what I do too. You know, there's moments where I'm like, this is what this calls for, and it's the same thing I've been doing on everybody. I'm still challenging myself to like, okay, what can I do to be more efficient, go faster, make it cleaner, do this, do that. And it just feels like passion. It just, at the end of the day, just feels inspiring to just keep pushing yourself, because if I'm not, that's when you start to just get like bored with your own work, you know?
Yeah. Hey, another question came in while you're working. It was actually from a mutual friend, Judith Viola.
Oh, Judith. I love her. Her haircuts are amazing. If you don't follow her, you should.
Yeah, Judith was is one of a hair camp educator as well. So she's amazing. It's been fun to watch her work and get to know her. Hey, so her question was, what haircut can we use this color with? I mean, I think that's a great question because
yeah.
So talk through what haircut you'd put this color on.
So you know what, honestly, I do feel like this is best with longer hair. You can change it and do shorter hair, but the thing is about chunky weaves in general, okay? This is like a general thing. When you have layers, so I made it more organic, the placement, so that those little chunks swing. But when you have layers, they can just look like it stops.
Yeah.
You know, like, and really abruptly. So typically I would say that when you want something that is more like highs and lows, you would probably want to use this on somebody with longer hair. And if they have shorter hair, I would really suggest balayaging all of the ends. Yeah. So I went higher up at the balayage here. So maybe where I didn't do any balayage, you could just like tip it out.
Yeah.
So that there's no like abrupt stops in the highlights. I'm like, I can tell you what not to use it on, but
to avoid that Kelly Clarkson look, right?
Yeah, like you still want to keep that like organic vibe and that softness. It's more about just the ribbons of color being in there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, BRIANA, man, thank you so much for teaching us that technique. I know
of
that.
Course.
Is this a technique you're gonna plan on releasing on your platforms as well?
Yeah, I will. I soon, hopefully soon, I'll have some more online education coming out. I didn't feel right about releasing it during this time, to be honest with you. So I just wanted to just be giving things away for free, because I feel like we all just need that right now. I need inspiration and I need pick-me-ups, and so it was my own pick-me-up, was just to kind of just like share, and but later on, I'll have it all available online.
Awesome. We always look forward to the fresh stuff that you release. You are amazing. Thank you for doing this today. We are so excited to have you on here.
Man.
Hey, as we wrap up here today, and all of us are still sort of sitting in this holding pattern and waiting. Tell me a little bit about what you're going to be doing during this time and how you're kind of prepping to, I would say, start putting one foot in front of the other. What's that look like for you?
You know, it's kind of interesting because I feel like I've already done it. And I could share a really small bit of that. But I, like Sam knows, I like kind of had an injury before we went into quarantine. So I wasn't able to leave the house because I couldn't get in a car for like a month and a half. So I was a month and a half deep of that. Man. Really. And what I did, this is what I did do rather than what I'm going to do, is I actually got my home studio set up. I bought lights. I got a home studio set up. I got serious about online. I didn't want to skip a beat. I didn't want anybody to notice any change except for maybe my background, you know? And so I just kind of kept doing that. I was pulling things that were inspirations from before, like some befores and afters I haven't gotten to share yet. And I was digging deep into my phone to create new media, because there's always opportunities to share new things that you might have already captured So it's not just reposting yourself, but creating new media out of things. So I started doing that. I was reaching out to more people and doing a lot more online. And then once this all hit, I was completely set up and ready to just pull the trigger, to be there for you guys as much as I possibly could be, because I had already done all the prep work. Yeah. So I would just prepare everybody that there might be some highs and lows after this. This might be the first wave or whatever we go through, we're going to go through. And that is, you know, in God's hands. We don't know what's going to happen, but we do know that, that there's always something to be done right now, you know, and there's always a good way to like spend our time, like in a really productive, like wise way now, that's going to feed you, that could possibly feed other people, that's going to help your clients. Just like Jamie Dana said, she's like, was just talking about like focusing on what the clients are experiencing right now will help you get out of your own head. So when I was experiencing pain, I was thinking, you know what, I need to get out of my own head and really focus on like how I can prep for the future. And so I felt ready for this, to be honest with you. Yeah, not ready in this way. This is, nobody could be ready for this, but I felt ready as far as like media wise for this. And yeah, when your heart's kind of breaking, it just kind of makes you like fight back, you know, like, so this is my way to fight back.
Well, Brianna, thanks for always being a source of light and inspiration.
I love you guys. I love Hair Camp. I love your family. I love everybody who's a part of this thing. It's one of the most special things, for sure, from the bottom of my heart.
You're incredible.
All right.
Man, it's a big deal to have you on here today. Thank you so much for being on here.
All right.
We will see you very soon, okay?
Sounds great. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Brianna.
You're a gem.
Guys, what an amazing day of education from people that truly care about you. That's what we love about our educators, is that thing we talk about how important it is to see the best in each other and call it out. That's what our educators do. That's why they're a Hair Camp educator. They're not about building their own reputation or followers. They're really, truly about taking what they know and sharing it with others. And that's what's really special about Hair Camp, is that we are a community of people that really, truly see the best in each other and we call it out. Guys, thank you so much. We, on behalf of the Hair Camp crew and the team that puts this on, we just want to thank you guys for being with us today. This was an experiment, and I'm really pleased after today with how things went. We are excited to continue to provide more education for you guys. We are really excited to continue to provide more experiences for you. Hair Camp is just getting started. And just like for you, we believe our best days are ahead of us. And so on behalf of all of our educators today, Brian, Jamie, Mish, and Brianna, on behalf of the Hair Camp crew and Johnny Swim, we just want to thank you guys for being with us today. And we look forward to many more bonfires with you. All right, guys, thank you so much. Hey, just so you know, our next bonfire is going to be coming up in 6 weeks. There's information on that. It'll be on our website. It'll be on our mailing list. And that's going to be happening Sunday, June 7th, starting at 4 p.m. We've got more educators lined up for you guys, more fun, more content. So if you liked what happened today, come and join us for that next bonfire. We are excited about what we are going to be giving to you guys. You can follow along at haircamp.co. That's our website, www.haircamp.co. And also at hair.camp on Instagram. Tell your friends, tell your salon owner, tell your clients about who you are and who we are. We're excited to be doing this with you guys. All right. Have a great day. We will see you guys soon. Thank you so much.